Hi friends, welcome or welcome back. I am the Nosy Witch and this is my channel, Nosy Witch Tarot. I do collective pickacard readings here on YouTube. Just a heads up, my readings do tend to be fairly long, they tend to be deep dives, so grab a hot or cold beverage of choice, get settled, get cozy because we have a lot to get through today. Today we are asking, what do people say about you behind your back and who can't stop talking about you and why? So this is a little bit of a gossipy, tea spill kind of reading, potentially delving into elements of hype you up depending on what people say about you, of course. This one is hopefully going to be a little bit like kind of similar to my compliments you get behind your back reading. I think people are going to have a lot of amazing things to say about you because I only channel for the very best. However, this reading isn't just focused on compliments. This is going to be focused on a little bit of everything, what people are saying about you generally. Now, that doesn't mean that it's going to be insulting necessarily, but please be aware I am going to be honest with this reading today. Although, as always, I will try to deliver the messages as respectfully as I can do. My aim with these readings is always with you in mind. I always hope to give you honest interpretations of what I'm seeing, hearing, sensing, and feeling, and that's in order to offer you clarity and to empower you to make the decisions that are in your best interests. So just bear in mind, this could be compliments, it could be things that are less than complimentary, it could just be things that people are curious about when it comes to you, things they might speculate on. It's just whatever comes out, basically. But please do note with these kinds of readings, we are discussing other people's thoughts, feelings, and opinions when it comes to you, and you might not always agree on that, and that's okay. Just because one person says something about you, that doesn't make it true, and it could be that another person thinks the exact opposite about you. But please know you do not have to accept anything as your story if it simply isn't. That person's truth might not look the same as your truth, and that is more than okay. Always take what's for you and leave the rest for somebody else. Hopefully you recognize some aspect of yourself within the energy check today, but please be mindful that not everything will resonate because maybe some messages are just meant for individual people who chose the same pile as you. You don't have to take everything, just take the bits that fit for you and your situation and let anything else pass by peacefully so it can find the person it's meant for. With that said, as usual, your reading is going to be split into two main sections today. We are going to be starting off with your oracle reading to try and tap into your overarching energy. So we are going to be starting off by looking at a few oracle cards and asking, generally, what do a lot of people say about you? What are people saying about you right now and what's got their attention when it comes to you? Hopefully you should recognise some of yourself in this. Maybe some things come out in this section that aren't just being said behind your back. Maybe you are aware of some of these things that people might say. Maybe you've been told some of these before. So you can use this portion of the reading as an energy check and for confirmation you have chosen the right pile. Then we're going to be moving on to your tarot reading where we're going to be doing a deeper dive on this energy, and we're also going to be asking who specifically can't stop talking about you and why. So in the oracle portion we might touch on this briefly if any specific individuals are coming through strongly, but we are going to get deeper and more thorough into that during your tarot reading. So the tarot reading is going to be, I guess, more of a story on who this person is, your relationship to them, what they're saying and why they're saying it. What is the purpose of them talking about you? So this person could be anyone. It could be a crush, a romantic interest, a friend, a frenemy, a colleague, a neighbour, a concerned family member. This could be someone who is a big part of your life, someone who is not a big part of your life, someone who is no longer in your life, or someone who is just obsessing from afar. It could be lots of different things. I don't know what's going to come through today. But if there's more than one person talking about you within the same pile, I will let you know. It is possible for more than one energy to come through, and if it's becoming apparent that that's the case as I'm doing your reading, I will fill you guys in along the way. But the main thing is we're going to be spilling some tea on who this person is and why they can't keep your name out of their mouth. You are also very welcome to choose more than one pile today because maybe you have more than one person discussing you. So if you are called to more than one, trust your intuition and feel free to watch more than one. With all of that said, let's go right ahead and introduce the piles today. Feel free to pause the video if you would like to take your time reflecting on this. But over here, starting out, we have pile 1 with the Everyday Witch Tarot and the flower sticker. That is pile 1 with the Everyday Witch Tarot and the flower sticker. Here we have pile 2 with the Gourmet Tarot and the Cupcake sticker. That is pile 2 with the Gourmet Tarot and the Cupcake sticker. Here we have pile 3 with the Light Seers Tarot and the Strawberry sticker. That is pile 3 with the Light Seers Tarot and the Strawberry sticker. Here we have pile 4 with the Weird Cat Tarot and the Ladybird sticker. That is pile 4 with the Weird Cat Tarot and the Ladybird sticker. And here we have pile 5 with the Real Talk Tarot and the Pink Lemonade sticker. That is pile 5 with the Real Talk Tarot and the Pink Lemonade sticker. Once you've chosen your pile or piles, please head to the pinned comment or the description box below. Timestamps will be listed there and they will take you to the start of your chosen reading. If you like the video, please, if at all possible, like the video, please comment and let me know what resonated. Even just letting me know which pal you picked helps me out massively in terms of engagement and helping this channel to grow and hopefully thrive. Please consider subbing if you haven't done so already. All of that would mean the absolute world to me and I would just appreciate it so much. With all of that said, we are about to get started with your reading. Thank you so much for being here, thank you so much for listening, and I will see you at your chosen pile collective. Hi Pal 1 Collective, if you chose Pal 1 with the Everyday Witch Tarot and the flower sticker, you are in the correct place. Welcome to your reading, friends. If you would like a full breakdown regarding this reading and what it might entail, please check out the introduction. I go through absolutely everything there. I will also leave some details in the pinned comment. If you want to have a quick glance at that, go right ahead. But today we're asking, what do people say about you behind your back? Who can't stop talking about you and why? So the oracle reading will be mostly focused on your general energy, what people tend to comment on most when it comes to you. Some of these things could be things you know, some of it could be things that you don't know, but hopefully you will recognize some aspect of yourself in the oracle reading and you can use this as confirmation that you have chosen the right pile. If the person talking about you most comes through in this portion of the reading, I will mention that. However, after the oracle reading, we're going to be moving on to the tarot, and that is going to be a deeper dive on the person who cannot keep your name out of their mouth. So we are going to be looking at who that person is, your relationship to that person, what they're saying, why they're saying it, what their intentions are, what is the purpose of them yapping about you, and all of that. Please note that if one individual says something about you, that doesn't automatically make it true, and you don't have to accept it as such. Ultimately, somebody could say something about you, and then somebody else could turn around and just say the complete opposite. So please take everything with a pinch of salt. These readings are supposed to be fun and entertaining. They are supposed to provide clarity and help you feel empowered into making the best decisions for you. They are not intended to piss you off. These readings are here to confirm what your intuition already knows and provide information so that you can make an informed decision. If something doesn't sound like you or anyone in your life, maybe that particular message isn't for you, and that's okay. I do try to deliver all of my messages with honesty and integrity, but I also try to deliver them as respectfully and sensitively as I can in the hopes that it will leave you feeling empowered. That said, if you don't think you're in the headspace to hear about what other people might have to say about you, then please act in your best interest and give this one a miss. You are always welcome back to the next one. Hopefully this will be a gossipy, tea spill, juicy, spicy, fun, potentially hypey kind of reading. But with all of that said, I really do appreciate you being here and listening. It means a lot to me, and I just can't thank you enough for taking time out of your day to let me read for you. So thank you so much for sending me your beautiful energy. And without hesitation, let's have a look at some of the oracle cards we pulled for you today. So your tarot is in the middle here, and we have this beautiful selection of oracle cards surrounding this. So we're going to get a feel for your overarching energy, Pal 1. Okay, so starting off over here on the left, we have Observant Octopus, Complexity, Multitasking, Ingenuity, Shape-Shifting Guardian of the Sea, Grant Me the Power of Transformation. We have got number 4, Balance. We have got number 52, Inducement, Persuasion, Bribe, Temptation. We have got Boundaries. You need to hold good boundaries so you don't feel violated. And we have got Incarnation. Through the power of intention and ritual, we can call upon the divine spirit to guide and empower us. I always like to start off these readings by mentioning the numbers on the cards in case any of these are relevant to anyone. They certainly don't have to be for this to be your pile. These just tend to be extra confirmations for specific individuals. So these might be relevant in terms of an age, a birthday, a day, month or year, an age gap, a life path, an astrological house, or an angel number or synchronicity you are seeing a lot of. So the numbers 4 and 52 might be relevant for someone, or the numbers 5 and 2 separately even. Also the number 7 if we add 5 and 2 up, or the number 11 if we add all of the original numbers up. Somebody could have a birthday in April, May, July, or November. Somebody could be a Taurus, a Cancer, or a Leo. You might have those placements in your chart. Some of these details may also apply to an individual discussing you. One thing I'm getting for this pile that again might just be a confirmation for one person, but it's about alliteration, because if we look at the cards here, we have 2 B words, 2 I words, and then we also have Observant Octopus. So it doesn't have to be these letters specifically, but someone here could, for example, have the same letters for their first name and surname, like they are called Agatha Apple or Barry Brown, or it could be that somebody has 2 of the same letter together in their name. It doesn't matter what the letters are specifically. It could be Bubble with 2 B's, or it could be Bloom with 2 O's, whatever. I mean, that could even be an aspect of the reading, actually. Like, if you have the kind of name that just rolls off the tongue, maybe people say your first name and surname a lot because it just flows. Or if you're at a workplace and there's more than one of you, people might refer to you as, for example, Betty B, rather than just your first name. I'm thinking of Severance right now, where everyone is referred to as like Mark S. I don't know whether that's relevant for somebody here. Maybe some of you have been watching that. Or even if you have a slightly harder to pronounce name, maybe it's a running joke that people try to say it but they don't quite get it right. Like maybe they always end up putting a letter in the wrong place when they pronounce your name. So if your surname was, for example, Holly, they would make typos and call you Hooli or something instead. That might just be a random message for somebody. Anyway, in terms of what people say about you generally, Pal 1, I feel like the first thing I want to say is people actually recognize your absence when you're not around, and they might talk about how much they miss you, but also how much they need you, like how crucial you are. Because with you choosing this flower sticker, this makes me think that people see you as like an essential part of the recipe. Like, you know, generally if we are making a cake, and I'm not talking about the no-bake kind of cakes, but if we are using a classic cake recipe, we are going to need some kind of flour type ingredient, or we are not going to get very far. Even if it's gluten-free flour, like even if we need a different kind of flour, we still need something that is that basis for making a cake. So the first thing I want to say is that people really notice when you're not there, actually, because if you're not in the recipe, the cake sucks. It just doesn't work right without that staple ingredient. So actually what people might say about you when you're not there is like, oh, it's not the same without Pal 1. So this could be like if you take a day off sick at work or college or whatever. I feel like your colleagues or your uni friends would say, work is just so boring without Pal 1. Or if you miss an event, your friends and family might say like, I wish Pal 1 were here. It's kind of like you're the glue that holds everything together, and it just doesn't flow the same without you. And this makes me think of how flour really does do the most for many recipes. Like flour is the thing that helps hold the structure of it. So it could be like you take one day off at your job and the place is falling apart without you because you're the hardest worker there. Or you know how to just do things in a way that nobody else can. So your colleagues acknowledge this, like, damn, this whole thing would fall apart if it wasn't for Pal 1. Maybe they get in and without you holding it all together, doing what you do, or boosting morale in that environment, maybe like nobody knows what to do when you're not there because you're good at this one specific task, or you're good at lots of things, and your colleagues might try to do it, but maybe they get it wrong. So they're like, let's just wait until Pal 1 comes back to bake this cake because it's no good without the flour. It's that kind of thing. Doesn't just have to be with work, but that's the kind of energy you have. It could even be something you've noticed in past relationships too, like you were the main one holding down the fort, keeping things together, making sure the recipe goes smoothly, and when you're not in that person's life anymore, they realize they're missing this crucial ingredient. So you could get people wanting to return to you quite a lot, people asking for you back or wanting to get back in your life, maybe even old bosses at your old jobs, like they're saying maybe we shouldn't have taken the flour out because now this cake won't stand up. The next thing I'm getting is that people might notice and point out that you remind them of someone, particularly with that incarnation card. That is what this is making me think of. So it could be that you get a lot of compliments from certain people about having this uncanny resemblance to a certain celebrity. Maybe you have a celebrity doppelganger. It could even be like a celebrity who isn't with us anymore. Like maybe somebody says you're the incarnation of Marilyn Monroe or something like that. Or it could be even that you're at a family event talking to your extended family, and when you walk out of the room, maybe somebody says to your parent like, oh my gosh, he or she is the spitting image of you when you were their age. Or like when they smile or talk, they look just like you. Or this could be, you know, you walk out of the room and one of your older colleagues says, oh, Pal 1 reminds me so much of my son or my daughter. Or even something like, do you not think Pal 1 looks exactly like this other person who used to work here? They really remind me of that person. And it feels like it's maybe more than a looks thing too. So maybe it's just the kind of vibe you have or the way you carry yourself. People mention that you remind them of some kind of energy they've encountered before. Maybe this is something that makes people feel quite connected to you and they don't always understand why. I think part of it could be because often they're like, oh, you just remind me so much of this other person who I loved so much. And they kind of maybe project that onto you or expect you to have a similar personality, even if they might not know you quite well. It could even be something crazy for a couple of you, like maybe a literal stranger has stopped you before and said like, I'm so sorry that I was staring at you, but you look exactly like my sister. I thought you were her, or something like that. Or maybe they've accidentally approached you and started some random conversation, talking to you as if they know you, and then they've been like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, I thought you were someone else. It's something along those lines. Maybe those kind of things happen to you a lot. With this observant octopus card, I think what people say about you is that you're someone who is always very aware of what's going on around them. So you could pick up on a lot of minor details that other people don't tend to notice. I'm hearing pile 1 never misses a trick. So people say that you're clued on. They're saying you're always aware of things even if you don't always speak on them. You have the situation fully sussed out. I want to say this might have something to do with people getting away with things, because they're saying like pile 1 is not somebody who you can sneak something past. And it doesn't have to be this example exactly, but one silly example I'm getting is like maybe you're not at your desk at work and one of your colleagues says to another one of your colleagues, oh, pile 1's highlighter pen is really cute. Do you think they'll notice if I use it? And your colleagues are like, if you move that highlighter, pile 1 is going to notice. Even if you think you've only moved it like 1 centimeter, they are going to come back to their desk and be like, who moved my pens? So some people might think you're a little bit obsessional about things being in a particular order and you notice when the order is disrupted. But it could also be like your friends say you're the person who can find out anything about anyone. Like if one of your friends is dating a new person, but they haven't told the group chat about it yet, or they're being kind of coy and sort of keeping it a secret, your friends might say you're the one that they can count on to provide the details. So your friends might say like, nothing is a secret with pal 1. Like if you are talking to someone, they'll know about it. And they're like, don't give pal 1 any details about your date, because even if you just give pal 1 their first name or one picture tagged with them, within half an hour, pal 1 is going to have their Instagram, their old Facebook they made in 2007, their place of work, their mother's maiden name, and all of their bank statements. So people could say things like, don't bother keeping that secret around pal 1 because they'll figure it out, no matter what the context is. For you, pal 1, I keep getting this message about you saying a lot by not saying anything, and I'm hearing something about your eye contact, and it could go back to this thing about you being observant. Maybe people say that they feel like you can see right through them. Or as one example, if you're, say, at a meeting at work, let's say you don't like your job or your managers, but you have a work bestie or a couple of people at your work who make it bearable and who you get along with. Like in the meeting, your managers could be talking a good game, but you know it's all bullshit. Like maybe they're talking about how employee wellness is really important to them, but then they berate anyone who has a sick day or something hypocritical like that. It could be that you don't even have to say anything, but you're giving the managers the side eye, or you glance at your work bestie and you're like, really? Without actually saying anything. Maybe you roll your eyes subtly and you're known for that. So people could always say about you like, oh, I can tell what pal 1 thought about that meeting, even if they didn't actually say anything, they didn't need to. I think what a lot of people say about you is that you're very grounded with that balance card. You could have earth in your chart, but this is a bird, so you could also have some air in there too. But I think people definitely talk about the fact that you rarely seem to lose your cool, or you don't ever lose your footing. People could say that you're good at remaining non-reactive. I definitely think people say that you're someone who is good at observing before you react. You know, people could say that you're skilled at handling difficult situations, like conflict situations or situations that are emotionally heightened. Maybe this is like dealing with rude customers at your job, and some of your colleagues say, oh, if that person had said something to me like that, I would cry, or I would give it to them right back. But pal 1 is good at just not letting it throw them off. I don't know why. I know this is kind of random, but if any of you have been trying to eat healthier recently, people could say that you eat really balanced or something like that. So if anybody sees you, for example, bring your lunch into work, this could be a comment people make, that you lead a very balanced lifestyle. I think with this boundaries card showing up, your implementation of boundaries is being highlighted as significant here. Now, this is obviously going to manifest in different ways for different individuals here, but the overarching message I'm getting is that maybe people have commented on the fact you have firm boundaries. So some people could really respect this, but maybe other people are expressing this because they're frustrated by it. Certain people you encounter in the workplace, for instance, might love and respect this about you, and other people might resent it. But either way, I feel like they are commenting on it. And I know that sounds like mixed messaging, but I'll give a couple of examples of how this might play out. So if you are, for example, someone who keeps to themselves, you're quite reserved, you keep the personal and professional aspects of your life separate, people might actually say, I really like that about pal 1. I like that they keep it professional. They never bring their personal baggage into the workplace and use it as an excuse. They just get on with things. So maybe people admire that you have a lot going on, but if you're at work, just doing your job, not engaging in pettiness, not trying to stir the pot, just doing the job, getting your paycheck and leaving. So people could say, I like that pal one keeps to themselves and they don't get involved with like petty office gossip or petty office politics and things like that. But other people who might benefit from trying to undermine your boundaries in some way might get frustrated by it and talk about how it pisses them off. And that could be due to their own lack of boundaries or their expectation that other people are not entitled to boundaries. And I think those people struggle with dealing with somebody with such strong boundaries, because I feel like you don't let them get in. Because if you were to let them get in, you know, some of these people would maybe try to convince you that your boundaries aren't as important. I think people say that you're someone who knows that you don't owe anyone an explanation, and that's the thing. So let's say you have a manager who wants you to work overtime on your day off. Just as one example, it doesn't have to be this one for you. But this manager might get pissed off that you're just like, sorry, I can't, I have plans. Because some people feel like they have to over-explain and describe what the plans are, so the manager knows it's important enough to warrant that day off. But in actuality, if that's someone's day off and they're not contracted to work and they already have plans, that's nobody's business what those plans are. So someone like you could kind of annoy those managers who want to get all they can out of you, because maybe the manager is trying to get details like, you know, are you sure you can't change the plans? Because I know that you don't have kids, so it's not like you have to get childcare, is it? You know, is it a medical appointment? Can you move it? And I feel like you will be polite about it, but you just reply like, you know, it's a personal matter and I'd rather not discuss it, but I will not be available to work that day. Kind regards. And that might kind of annoy them because there's nothing they can really say to that. Like, they know it's not their business to know, but maybe they expect people to be like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, I have a dentist appointment, but I'll try and move it, even though I also had to move the last 3 to accommodate work. Or, you know, maybe you have a boundary of not answering work calls after a certain time. And perhaps if you have a peer, like if you have a colleague who lacks those same firm boundaries and they are always the ones relenting and picking up the phone after 8 p.m. because they're people pleasing or they're worried about what the boss will think if they don't answer, they could be venting about that to other people like, oh, pal one never picks up their phone, it's always me having to do it. But I think they're frustrated at the wrong person because, you know, that situation, it's due to their own lack of boundaries. And in actuality, nobody is obligated to answer that phone after working hours if they are not being paid and it's not in their contract. So it could be like somebody is talking about you because they're pissed off at you having this boundary, because it's something that perhaps they don't have enough willpower to assert for themselves. I definitely think the complaints people have about you, and I'm not saying people have a lot of complaints, but this could just be like one person who is triggered by you, and I think that it is projection. You know, if it's that work example, instead of this person admitting to themselves, it's my choice to answer calls after 8 p.m. and I don't have to do that if I don't want to, they try and play it off as like, oh, pal one just isn't a team player, they never answer. It's almost like they might be a bit of a pick me, but in a corporate way, that kind of thing. Or generally, I guess it is like maybe if they want to get picked for a promotion or something. But yeah, it doesn't have to be with work. It could just be with your boundaries and expectations generally, even with dating and things like that, or just certain boundaries that you have for yourself. You could find that people who lack boundaries or people who have kind of lower standards, like they accept the bare minimum in whatever way that applies, you might find that these individuals are the ones most triggered by you and talking about you and also kind of testing you in a way. You could find that certain people try and push you to get a reaction out of you. Maybe this is someone saying like, oh, don't you think your dating expectations are too high? Like, you're never going to find that, even though what you're asking for is the bare minimum. Or, you know, maybe you've been sticking to a certain healthy diet and people try and trigger you with that. And it could be over the slightest thing that leaves them personally offended because they're mad at themselves for not being able to stick to their own boundaries. So somebody could offer you a cookie and you're literally just like, no, thank you. And they're like, do you never treat yourself to cookies? That sounds really boring. And it's not even that serious. Maybe you just didn't like that cookie. And it's not as though you're saying everyone who has one cookie is really greedy and really unhealthy. But for some reason, you get those 1 or 2 people who get really triggered by your choices because for some reason they don't like how it reflects on them. Maybe their expectations for themselves and others are too low, so they try to convince you that you're the problem. It's something along those lines. It could even be people trying to get you to lower your boundaries and give them a chance romantically. I feel like people kind of push or test you to try and get that reaction and see what you'll say because you really don't give them much of one. So maybe these kinds of people ask others around them, like, what do you think pal one would say if I did this? And it's almost like an experiment in a way. I just feel like you're someone who might not tell people things if they don't need to know the things. It's like you might give them the bare minimum, but people want to find out more about you and from you. Maybe people say that you're difficult to get to know or they don't really know how to read you because you don't give them too much. And for some people, I think it's enticing, and for other people maybe it makes them uncomfortable because they can't work out how they need to act around you. That's something that I'm getting. It's like you're a powerful presence because you can make people uncomfortable without saying anything. I think people say that they struggle to get a handle on your energy as a whole. They can't figure you out, or you keep them at arm's length. For some, they might want to try harder because it's alluring, and for others they might be more like, I don't know what to talk about with pal one. They make it really hard to talk about them. And I don't think that actually is true. Maybe when you're with the right people, conversation isn't a problem and people find you really adaptable and easy to talk to. But for people you don't want to talk to, you can have your guard up. You can be like this stone cold wall. And it feels like those are the people who want to try and get your approval in some way. So maybe they're frustrated when they can't do that. But really, it's because they're not the kind of people you want to socialize with. Maybe they're not on your wavelength. And it's not that you're rude to them, but maybe you just keep them at arm's length. So it's not that you're hard to talk to, but maybe they try and talk to you about the wrong things. Like if someone tries to start a conversation with you about something interesting, you're probably very easy to talk to. But if someone starts a conversation with you by saying like, ew, have you seen that girl's dress over there? It's so ugly. You're probably just going to be like, no, I've not seen it. And you're gonna like shut that shit down. Or if someone is trying to slide into your DMs, they could be complaining like, oh, pal one never replies to me, or the conversation is dry, but it's just because you don't want to have a conversation with them. People could say that it's really hard to get you out, or it's really hard to plan something with you because you're always busy, maybe you're always doing something, or you take a while to get back to people or something like that. I think with this inducement card, I'm getting a couple of messages, but it could be like one of them is people who want your approval are asking what they can do to bribe you with something, like what would get you interested, what would get you to talk to them. Maybe they think there's something that they can entice you with, like a carrot they could dangle in front of you, something to bargain with. So this could be, for example, your ex saying, you know, what can I say to pal one to get them to lower their boundaries and come back to them? Or it could be your boss at your old job being like, what monetary gains can I offer that would make pal one want to return to this workplace? People could say that you're really tempting, and I think it's because you just don't give much away. I keep getting that. It's like people want to know more about you because they can't get a good read on you and you keep to yourself. But I also feel like with people saying that you have this ability to read others well and find stuff out, people could be saying that you're really skilled at getting what you want, or you're good at like wrapping people around your little finger. If you want something, you are good at the art of persuasion. People could say that you could get them to do anything, or you could talk them into anything or something like that. So that is what I'm getting for the oracle portion of your reading, pal one. We are now going to move along to the tarot, and we're going to be getting some more information on who this person is, what they're saying about you, and why they can't stop talking about you. Thank you for listening so far, and I will see you at the tarot portion. Hi pal one collective, welcome back to the tarot portion of your reading. Without hesitation, let's get started and have a look at the cards that we pulled for you. I'm just going to pop your sticker over here. And starting out, we have got the King of Swords reversed. Don't worry if the cards aren't all in frame right now. I don't know what the camera looks like at this moment, but I will check once I've laid these cards. Anyway, clarifier for the King of Swords reversed is the Ace of Pentacles reversed. Then we have got the Ten of Wands reversed. And we have got the Page of Wands reversed. We have got the Magician. And clarifying the Magician, we have got the Empress. We have got the Ten of Cups. Clarifying the Ten of Cups, we've got the Eight of Wands. We have got the Ten of Pentacles. And clarifying the Ten of Pentacles, we have got the Ace of Wands. Last couple of cards, we've got the Knight of Cups, and clarifying the Knight of Cups, we have got the Three of Pentacles. Okay, pal one, so this person who can't stop talking about you, it's either because they want you and they can't have you, or they want something you have and they don't have. And it is probably going to be different depending on the nature of your relationship with this person. But it's coming through as sort of this mix of attraction and jealousy, or in some instances both. So this could either be romantic or platonic, to be quite honest. This could be someone you've been with romantically who no longer has access to you, or someone who is or has been romantically interested in you, but maybe you've said no, or you've set up boundaries with them. Or it could be someone who wants access to you in another way, but you're not giving it because, again, you have these firm boundaries. So this could very well be that nosy manager or colleague who wants to be in your business, or wants you to explain yourself or over-explain yourself, or to be there at their beck and call. It could be they want to have access to more of you at times when they currently do not. Or it could be that this is just someone in your life who is generally jealous of something you possess that they don't. So it could be a part of your appearance, it could be a personality trait, a skill you have, a relationship in your life, or something you actually own in the material world. It could be a multitude of these things. And for some of you, like I say, it's both. Like maybe this person is kind of attracted to some aspect of you, but they're also really deeply envious, and that's why they can't stop talking about you. So for those of you where this is a non-romantic situation, like if, for example, you are a straight woman and this is another straight woman, it doesn't have to be attraction in the sense of like they want to get schmexual with you, but it's more as though they're drawn to you, they're pulled in by you, they're attracted to something you possess, and that's why they're sort of obsessing over it, because perhaps it's something they lack. And for those of you where this is more of a schmexual attraction, where that's possible regardless of this person's gender or yours, there is definitely still that jealousy, but it's also tied up with this frustration that they can't have access to you the way they would like to. But how you'll know who this is, I think this is someone who likes to think they're smart. They like to think they have it all worked out, or that they're intellectually superior to others in some way. I think this is someone who likes to think that they can read people well, or that they have people sussed out. But actually, a lot of this is just them kind of projecting their judgment and projecting their own cynicism onto the world around them. I'm seeing someone narrow their eyes as they're honing in on someone. Like this is an individual who tends to scrutinize people, almost like they're scanning them. And they might make these sort of snarky comments that they think are clever, but they're actually just unhelpful and often untrue observations. And I think this is someone who likes to believe that what they say is really profound, or it's never been done before. Like they think they have this really revolutionary thing to say, but really it's just kind of obnoxiousness or some kind of superiority complex. With this Ace of Pentacles reversed, that can talk about feeling like you have a deficiency, feeling as though you're lacking something. It can indicate instability. So I think this person acts this way and maybe talks about you from this place of insecurity or from this huge place of lack. But it's almost as though they think they're too good for feelings of jealousy. They think that they're above it. So they don't want to admit that something about you threatens them. And so they try and intellectualize this as like, no, I'm not jealous. I just think that pal one shouldn't be doing that because of XYZ. And they try and make some moral or supposedly rational argument for it, but it doesn't really make sense. And a lot of this is just based on their own assumptions. I think this person likes to separate themselves from other people because they feel like other people are intellectually inferior to them. It's like they think they're so different. Like this could be someone who literally uses phrases like, I'm not a sheep, and thinks they're really cool and edgy, but actually they just sort of regurgitate old concepts and none of them really make much sense. I think we mentioned this person being sort of a pick-me in some regard. I think we mentioned that in your oracle too. So this person could be the definition of a pick-me, or if they're a woman, they could be a little bit like, I'm not like the other girls, like those kinds of vibes. And I think it is interesting because this person obviously thinks they are incredibly smart, but I think a sign of intelligence is remaining open-minded to new discoveries and also having emotional intelligence. And this person definitely lacks that. I think this person can be quite cold and callous and unempathetic when it comes to other people. They might struggle to put themselves in other people's shoes, or they think that their perspective is the only right way and they refuse to see anyone else's. So actually they are quite stunted in that regard. Like if you were in a debate with this person and you tried to tell them that their studies were wrong or that your lived experience contradicts something that they are claiming, they would refuse to acknowledge that. And they would just keep saying like, no, you're wrong. They would just keep talking over you because you couldn't possibly know more than them. Yeah, and with the Page of Wands as well, this person is quite close-minded. This person is very close-minded. They could have sort of temper tantrums about you and start mouthing off about something that you do due to their own lack of confidence, but they refuse to acknowledge that as a feeling of jealousy. And they try and frame it as like, oh, I just think it's wrong that pal one does this. And a part of this could be that they feel like they've lost an opportunity either with you, like to be with you, or they've lost an opportunity due to you. And they're feeling like you're granted opportunities too easily, like it just flows to you naturally, or you've somehow manipulated your way into getting these opportunities. Whereas they feel as though they've had to struggle or bear all the weight of these responsibilities. And I don't think this is the truth of the matter, by the way, pal one, but this is a reading about how this individual is viewing it or what they are saying. So I understand that a lot of you probably won't resonate with that because that is not your truth. I'm just explaining how they are feeling. And it could be like we said in the oracle, you know, due to this person's inability to assert their own boundaries or go after something that they want. It's like instead they will make snarky comments about you because they want some part of you or they want this something that you have, and they get mad at you when actually they're probably taking it out on the wrong person. Because if we go back to that example we gave in your oracle reading of this, you know, being a colleague who is bad-mouthing you because they feel like they're always at the boss's beck and call and you don't pick up those extra hours or you don't answer the phone, they could be saying like, oh, pal one just gets to come in and do their job and just go home at the end of the day and not think about picking up the phone after work. They have it so easy. And people could actually defend you and say like, well, yeah, but you don't have to answer the phone either. You choose to do that. It's not pal one's fault that management are expecting you guys to answer calls when you're not getting paid. But instead of trying to see it from your perspective, this person will be like, well, I just think we should all pull together and be a team. Like, I think it's rude that pal one knows that they're leaving all this to me. And they try and make it this thing that puts them on this moral high ground when actually it's their choice and it's not your fault that they are not happy with their choice. And it doesn't have to be that example, but it's something along those lines. And I think they get more mad because you don't really react to things or you don't back down or relent with your boundaries just because they made some snarky comment about you. They could say something backhanded or kind of passive aggressive in your vicinity. Like if we go back to that example, maybe one of your colleagues says to this person like, oh, what are you up to tonight? And this person, knowing that you're around, will say like, well, I'm no doubt answering work calls since nobody else ever answers them. And I feel like you don't react. You're just kind of like, what? I don't know why this is popping into my mind, but you know, there's loads of Blake Lively clips that have been recirculating recently. And there's one from the Gossip Girl era with Leighton Meester, who played Blair in Gossip Girl, who, if you don't know, is the brunette one. But Blake made some joke like, when they were at this press conference type of thing, I think, like they were doing this interview. And she, for some reason, just said, like, everybody knows blondes are nicer, while sat next to Leighton, who is a brunette. And Leighton's face in that clip, I don't think she's overly bothered by it. Like, it's not that serious, but she's kind of looking confused more than anything. She looks like, okay. And that's how I'm picturing your face when this person makes these kinds of comments. You're just bewildered. And I think they're more annoyed that you don't rise to it. You're just like, okay, that was weird and random, but anyway. For those of you who identify as feminines, regardless of your gender, there is a strong message coming through about this person being resentful of that. Because we did get that message in your oracle about you being able to sort of wrap people around your little finger, but I think this person misinterprets your natural charm, which maybe they don't possess themselves, as you manipulating people. I think this person is jealous because they're saying that you use your femininity to get what you want, and so things come easier for you, maybe because you're beautiful, or they think that you use your looks or your body to get your way. And again, you could be very beautiful and feminine if you identify with that, but this person feels like that's the only reason you get things, like that's the reason you're given these opportunities. They're saying it's because you're pretty or because you use your schmex appeal and you don't have to try very hard to get what you want. It's like this person kind of likes to underplay your other positive traits because it's easier for them to convince themselves like, oh, pal one only got this opportunity because they're attractive, rather than considering that you have other great qualities that make you suitable for these opportunities. So going back to the Leighton Meester example, this is the kind of person where if you come into work one day and somebody says to you like, oh, pal one, your makeup looks really pretty today, this will be the kind of person who is like, I'm really lucky that I feel confident enough in myself that I don't need to wear makeup to feel beautiful. And you're just like, okay, I never said anything about that, but whatever. It's like they're trying to position themselves as this higher moral authority in some way. Or like, you know, even if you came into work and someone was like, oh, pal one, how was your date last night? You could be like, it was great, my date took me to this really nice restaurant. And this person could chip in with some catty remark like, oh, I'm lucky that I'm so independent and I don't need anybody to take me out on a date. And you're just like, okay, I never said I needed anyone to take me out on a date. It was just a nice thing to do, but thank you for your input. It's that sort of thing where they try and position themselves as like better than you, but it's actually deep down because they feel incredibly inferior and they don't want to acknowledge that. And it's even the same kind of thing, like even if this person is attracted to you romantically, like if this is someone you had to reject, they almost have this, I guess, like incelish kind of mentality, like, well, everyone's only into pal one because of their looks or because of their body, but once they get older and that fades, they're going to be on their own and that'll teach them a lesson for using their schmex appeal to get what they want. But again, this is sort of all in their head and their own projection because they feel quite cynical towards the world. And that's not me saying you don't have beauty or you don't have natural schmex appeal, because I'm sure you very much do. Like, we see that with the Empress card. But also, if people are offering to take you out on dates or giving you opportunities, it doesn't mean that it's solely due to that. Maybe people want to take you on dates because, as well as being attractive, you are an interesting, kind, intelligent person. Maybe if people offer you opportunities, it's because you have worked hard for them. But this person wants to convince themselves it's all down to this one thing that perhaps they don't have. And it's so they can create a false narrative about you being superficial or only having one thing going for you, and that's not true. Another example I'm getting, and this kind of adds on to what we said about your boundaries and this person being resentful of you having something that they don't have. So some of you, and this won't be for everyone, but for some of you, it's like this person is jealous of you embracing your feminine nature and choosing to live a soft or more receptive life in some way. Now, this is regardless of gender. Anyone can be too much in their masculine, and that can result in, just as one tangible example, maybe pushing too hard to the point of burnout or feeling exhausted, taking on too much. And one real life example of nurturing the feminine could be someone reducing their work hours or choosing to not go after a promotion if the added work is going to be at the expense of their physical or emotional well-being. It's about having that balance regardless of whether you identify more with the masculine or the feminine or neither. So this can apply to anyone of any gender. But one example I'm getting, and you don't have to take this one as being part of your story if it isn't, but I'm thinking, like, if you choose to cut back on your work hours to spend more time with your children or your family, or like to look after your children or something, and again, you could be a man or a woman, it doesn't matter. This person could try and frame that almost as like a moral failing on your part. Like, if you are a woman and this is another woman, this person could make comments like, oh, it must be nice to get days off and just sit at home with your kids all day, but I couldn't do that. I'm too ambitious. I want more for myself. It's just kind of like repackaged misogyny, like this person putting you down for your choices and trying to make out like what they do is so much more important than what you do. But they'll kind of use it as a reason as to why you shouldn't get certain opportunities. They might say, you know, Pal 1 cares more about their kids than they care about the company, as if that's a bad thing. This person could be a bit of a corporate bootlicker. They're like, you know, I put the company before everything. And you're kind of like, okay, well, good for you, but I don't want to do that. And I think that makes them even more mad, like that you're happy with your choices, because I think a lot of this person isn't happy with their choices and they're constantly trying to justify their own choices to themselves. And maybe they'd like to be doing something that you're doing, but they've assigned too much of their self-worth to whatever it is they're doing, and so they can't admit that. And it doesn't have to be a literal example of raising children. That's just one that popped into my mind because there's a lot of discourse surrounding that. It could be like you have a side business or a passion project, or you're at uni whilst working, and maybe this person is resentful of that because secretly they would love to do what you're doing, but they feel stuck in this one role, and so they just try to underplay yours. They're like, oh, I wish I could just swan off to uni when I feel like, but I put this company first. And I feel like you're very much like, okay, well, each to their own. If that's your dream, then good for you, but it's not mine, which is a great way to be. Like, there's nothing wrong with dedicating yourself to your career if that's what you want, if that's your dream, but there's also nothing wrong with dedicating more of your time to your kids or your hobbies or studies if that's a part of your dream. But I think that's why this person is so pressed about you, because they're actually not following their dream. That's why they're so triggered by you following yours, but they can't admit that the path that they chose is maybe not the one that's making them happy. Take it in whatever way that applies, but that's maybe why they feel threatened over you and your choices, and it's why they're talking about you a lot. There's a lot about your domestic life or your home situation coming through, and I'm getting a few different messages regarding what this could mean, but the overarching messages definitely relates to this person essentially being butthurt that you're happy and that you're doing good. If this is someone who has ever been interested in you romantically, but maybe they lost their chance or you rejected them, if you have found love since then elsewhere, like if you're dating again or you are in a healthy, happy relationship, this could be somebody who doesn't want to believe that they've lost that chance with you forever. So they're kind of like waiting on the downfall of that new relationship. They're saying that they think you've rushed into it, and they're almost talking to other people about it. Like, yeah, I think Pal 1's made a mistake jumping into things with this other person. Like, I bet this person is just using them, or I bet it's all going to fall apart. And it's as though they're waiting for it to sort of crumble. But it could just be that this person doesn't want to admit that you've actually found someone who makes you happy. Even if you've decided that you want to be single and you seem content alone, like if this is someone you've broken up with or somebody you said no to, they could be like, I think Pal 1 is being too hasty. They are going to regret saying no to me because they might think they have options now, but when they get older, they're not going to have these options. And I think you're just like, well, even if I had 0 options, I still wouldn't be with you. So you don't mind, you're good with where you are. But if it's not someone romantically interested, it could still be that this person is jealous of the relationships you have in your life or your happy home life or something like that. Especially, if you're someone who doesn't talk much to acquaintances about your personal life, this person could think like, oh, look at pal one in their happy little marriage with their perfect little easy life. They've never actually had to struggle. Like, it's all just come so easily for them, when actually they don't know that. They're kind of calling you like, oh, little mister or little miss perfect or something like that, which might not be the truth, but I think it's because you don't really let people know much about your personal life, so they're maybe assuming some of this. They could be jealous of the opportunities you get. Like, if people become easily infatuated with you, or they want to come and take you on dates and be chivalrous towards you, this person will be like, oh, well, it's just so easy for pal one because they're attractive. That's the only reason people get obsessed with them. But again, it probably isn't just that. If people want to take you on dates, it's probably because you are a pleasant person to be around, somebody whose company people enjoy, whereas the same cannot always be said for this person. Like, I can imagine that if this person were to go on a date, they would probably make a lot of assumptions about their date. Like, maybe they would ask inappropriate questions or just kind of act rude and maybe even like interrogate their date. And if it didn't work out, instead of this person reflecting on their behavior, they'd try and play it like, oh, my date was just an F-boy or an F-girl. Clearly they only wanted one thing for me. They've proved what kind of person they are. I'm not interested anyway. But if you spoke to the date about what happened, the date might be like, oh, well, actually, at first I found this person attractive, but then they started being quite judgmental and it turned me off. Like, it really put me off them. So the problem isn't looks. This person thinks that you're prettier or more handsome than them, and that's why you get better things than them. But that was never the issue. Like, it's not that they're necessarily ugly, but maybe a part of their personality is ugly or off-putting, or the way they treat people is ugly or off-putting. For some of you, this could be like, they chose not to take an opportunity that you chose to take, and now they're mad at that, but they're trying to convince themselves that their way is better or their way is more noble or something along those lines. It's like you're living the life that they could have had, but they didn't go for it. This could even be like, if you are in a relationship with someone right now, maybe this person once had an opportunity with your person, but they didn't take it or they lost it, and now they're upset that you got that opportunity, like you have taken their place. Or this could even be, for example, an older family member or person who feels like they missed the boat with getting to do something that you're doing. Like, let's say you're following a passion project or you're studying something. Maybe this person went for the more traditional or more stable path, and because they lost the opportunity to follow their dream, they're saying like, well, I did the traditional thing, I went the traditional way, and they see you doing something this new way and they feel threatened by it, so they kind of try and put it down because they're mad that their trajectory looked different to yours. This could even be a family member or friend or someone you're in a relationship with who feels threatened by the closeness of your relationship and is saying that you're rushing into things with this person. Or it's like they're saying to this person, I've always been here for you, and like, I know you've got this new exciting thing going on right now, but I'm the one who's going to provide safety for you, or something along those lines. It could also be the other way around. Like we said, maybe your ex thinks you're rushing it with somebody new and they're saying like, oh, when the excitement wears off, you're going to want to come back to me because I'm stable. But they weren't ever stable anyway. And maybe they're trying to convince themselves that this new thing you've got is just a fling or just a bit of fun. But it's like they're wanting to put you down for going for an opportunity or doing something different or starting something exciting. This could also be like, they feel entitled to know your business. They want to find out what's going on for you. Like, they're obsessed with figuring out what's going on in your home life, and it upsets them that they don't have access to that information. They could also dislike that whatever this new thing is that you're working on, they could dislike that it's working out well for you. Like, you're building on success, but they're calling it a lucky break, or they're still saying, well, they seem okay for now, but it's going to fall apart, or something along those lines. The Three of Pentacles can sometimes refer to studying. So yeah, maybe they don't like that you've chosen to learn something, and they're saying it's pointless or it's not going to get you anywhere. But it's because deep down it's something they wish they could have done, but they lack what it takes to do the thing. I think this person talks a lot about how you're capable of influencing people, and they don't like that. I think they're frightened of how powerful you are, to be quite honest, but they might try to underplay your power as something more superficial. I think they don't like how diplomatic and graceful you are, and that you don't get caught up in pettiness. because it's like they see you just living your life and being content, and they want to disrupt that. They want to get a reaction out of you, so it upsets them when they don't get one, because it's like they want to try and find some sort of chip in your armor. They don't like that people want to offer you things, or that people are generous and loving towards you. They don't like that people want to spend time or collaborate with you or work with you. I don't think this person likes that you're so well liked or popular, because again, they feel like it's either undeserved or you haven't had to work for it. This person might try really hard to be liked, but they just miss the mark because they lack the emotional intelligence. This person doesn't like when you get recognition. But I think they're dismissing that if you have created healthy dynamics with people, whether it's at work or in other relationships, it's probably because you are also a warm and generous person. And they might lack that, so then they just try and say, oh, like people only treat you nice because you're hot, or whatever the case may be. And I don't think that this person understands that a lot of power comes from gentleness and diplomacy. They don't have those skills, and so maybe because you do, they struggle to understand why those skills are so impactful. I don't know, I'm sorry I keep getting work examples, but this could be like, one of your colleagues comes in and says to this person, have you seen Pal 1? I've just bought them their lunch. And this person is like, oh, another person buying lunch for Pal 1 just because they're pretty. What, you think Pal 1 will go out on a date with you? Typical, what a simp. And this person is like, no, I'm buying them lunch because they covered my shift for me last week, or they offered to babysit my kids this weekend. But this person doesn't get that because they're kind of selfish. I don't think they'd ever offer to assist another person without having some kind of ulterior motive. Again, they struggle to put themselves in other people's shoes because, quite honestly, they think they're above a lot of people. They think they're too good for it or too sophisticated, which isn't true. But yeah, it's like they don't really understand the element of give and take. So instead, they just ignore that part, and then you come into the room and they'll make some passive-aggressive comment like, oh, it must be nice having your lunch bought for you just because you're hot. And you're kind of like, what? But also like, whatever, I'm not even touching that. I'm not rising to it. Like, I don't care. They can just think what they want. So you seem so nonchalant and so unbothered by this Pal 1, and I love that for you. And if I were to encourage you to do anything, it would just be to remain in that energy. Don't change a thing because you seem like you're doing good. So that is what I'm getting for your tarot reading, Pal 1. I hope you enjoyed this reading today. If you did like the reading, please like the video. Please comment if you get a chance. Let me know what resonated. Or just let me know which pal you picked if you don't feel comfortable letting me know what resonated. If you haven't done so already, please consider subscribing. Please share the video. Just comment and like as much as you can. That would help me and this channel massively, and I would appreciate it so, so much. With all of that said, thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one. Hi Pal 2 Collective, if you chose Pal 2 with the Gourmet Tarot and the Cake sticker, you are in the correct place. Welcome to your reading, friends. If you would like a full breakdown regarding this reading and what it might entail, please check out my introduction. I go through absolutely everything there. I will also leave some details in the pinned comment if you want to have a quick glance at that. Go right ahead. But today we are asking, what do people say about you behind your back? Who can't stop talking about you, and why? So the oracle reading will be more focused on your general energy, what people tend to comment on most when it comes to you. Some of these things could be things you know, some of it could be things that you don't know, but hopefully you will recognize some aspect of yourself in the oracle reading, and you can use this as confirmation you have chosen the right pile. If the person talking about you most comes through in this portion of the reading, I will mention that. However, after the oracle reading, we're going to be moving on to the tarot, and that is going to be a deeper dive on the person specifically who cannot keep your name out of their mouth. So we are going to be looking at who this is, your relationship to this person, what they are saying, why they are saying it, what their intentions are, what is the purpose of them yapping about you, and all of that. Please note that if one individual says something about you, that doesn't automatically make it true, and you don't have to accept it as such. Ultimately, somebody could say something about you, and then somebody else could turn around and say the complete opposite. So take everything with a pinch of salt. These readings are supposed to be fun, and they're supposed to be entertaining. They are supposed to provide clarity and help you feel empowered into making the best decisions for you. They are not intended to piss you off. These readings are here to confirm what your intuition already knows so that you can make an informed decision. If something doesn't sound like you and it doesn't sound like anyone in your life, maybe that particular message isn't for you, and that's okay. I try to deliver all of my messages with honesty and integrity, but also as respectfully and sensitively as I can, in the hopes it will leave you feeling empowered. That said, if you do not think you're in the headspace to hear about what other people might have to say about you, then please act in your best interest and give this one a miss. You are always welcome back anytime. I hope this one is going to be fun. Hopefully it's going to be gossipy, tea spilly, juicy, spicy, potentially a little bit hypey. And with all of that said, I really do appreciate you being here and listening. It means a lot to me, and I can't thank you enough for taking time out of your day to let me read for you. So thank you so much for sending me your beautiful energy, and without hesitation, let's have a look at the oracle cards that we pulled for you today. So I'm keeping your tarot cards here in the middle, and we are going to be starting on the left. So here we have number 53, waterproof. We have got wise walrus, intensity, attentiveness, ferocity, gleaming tusks like slivered moons, show me strength through gentle means. Here we have got number 21, sweetheart, pure unconditional love, beloved. We have got settling, don't stay with someone who isn't right for you just because it's safe. And we have got refinement. It is only in the recognition and acceptance of opposing energies that we can attain true balance and unity within ourselves and our environment. I always like to start off these readings by mentioning the numbers on the cards in case these are relevant to anyone. They certainly don't have to be for this to be your pile. These just tend to be extra confirmations for specific individuals. So these could be relevant in terms of an age, a birthday, a day, month or year, an age gap, a life path, an astrological house, or an angel number or synchronicity you are seeing a lot of. So here we have the numbers 53 and 21. Those could be relevant, or the numbers 5, 3, 2 or 1 separately, or potentially the numbers 8, 3 or 11. Somebody could be born on the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 5th, 8th, 11th or 21st of a month. Maybe one person here is 21 and the other is 53 or around those ages. Somebody could have a lot of 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 5th, 8th or 11th house energy. So Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Leo, Scorpio or Aquarius energy is being highlighted here. Somebody could live in a really rainy or damp climate with this waterproof card. It's making me think maybe somebody's having to always go out wearing their waterproof jacket because they don't know what the weather's going to be like, so they just take their waterproofs everywhere they go. Somebody here could actually be pregnant, or maybe somebody has recently gone for an ultrasound scan or an x-ray, even if it's not to do with pregnancy directly. Those are just confirmations for specific people. With you picking the cake sticker, maybe people know you as somebody who has a sweet tooth or as somebody who is a skilled baker. Maybe you've brought baked goods to the office before on special occasions, and what people say about you is Pal 2 makes you really good cakes. Or maybe if you have a sweet tooth right now due to like hormones, even pregnancy cravings or something like that, maybe people are saying like, oh, you never had much of a sweet tooth before, but you seem to right now. Or the opposite, maybe people who have known you for a long time say like, oh, Pal 2 has always had a sweet tooth. Again, that's just a little message for somebody particular here. Maybe there's a specific baked item or specific food item that you're known to really like, and people always get you that item as a little joke gift on special occasions or for your birthday. It doesn't have to be cake or something sweet directly. But yeah, that is a message I'm getting for someone. But yeah, there are definitely a couple of messages here to do with sweetness. So I feel like what people actually might say about you is that you're an absolute sweetheart. I keep hearing that phrase, absolute sweetheart. I think when people come into contact with you, when they meet you, after you've left the room, it's like people say, Pal 2 is just the loveliest human being. They're so warm, they're so loving. What a sweetheart. You could have that kind of energy where you make people who don't even know you that well just sort of warm up to you or want to protect you in some strange way. You could have a lot of people saying you're really cute and adorable, and it might be a surprise to some people, especially if you have more of like an intimidating appearance, or maybe you have resting bitch face or something like that. People could say about you, wow, like I thought Pal 2 was going to be a bitch at first, but actually they're really sweet, they're really kind and just so welcoming. I think you are very well liked by a lot of people, to be quite honest. I don't think people have many bad words to say about you. I mean, there's always going to be those people who don't like you, no matter how good of a person you are. But for the most part, you are coming across to me here as very, very well liked. And I think a lot of people, after they've had a conversation with you, it's not like you leave a room and they say to their friend, oh, that was awkward. They're kind of like, oh my god, Pal 2 is just the coolest person. I love their vibe, I love their energy, they seem like a sweetheart. People might comment that you make a really good first impression, like they aren't sure what you're going to be like, but straight away, you manage to make people feel welcomed, you manage to make people feel safe. You could have a really healing energy about you, and a lot of people say that you just sort of click, you're easy to get on with straight away because people can sense that you have a really kind and genuine streak and this gentleness about you. This could even be like if you have a romantic partner who introduces you to their friends or family for the first time, maybe their friends and family are straight away saying like, I love Pal 2, like you picked a good one, they seem like such a great person, and maybe you're somebody who makes a really good impression on people when you first meet them like that. I think people generally speak very highly of you, and especially the people who've been in your life for a while. They tend to make comments about you being a really loyal and committed friend, or they say that you're someone who loves very fiercely, like you stick up for or you go out on a limb for the people you care about. They could describe you as the kind of person who is more willing to stick up for somebody else you care about when they're faced with an injustice than you are when it comes to like advocating for yourself. People might also say that you're someone who puts a lot of effort into the relationships in your life. They could talk about the fact that you're a really good listener, an active listener, somebody who is attentive when people are talking to them, and somebody who remembers important details regarding things people have told them. They could also think that you give like the sweetest, most thoughtful gifts, or like you put a lot of effort into getting people things that they would really like. People could also say that you're very skilled when it comes to offering advice, and I think a part of this is because you know how to listen, but I think you have a kind of wiseness about you where you always know the right thing to say, or you know how to comfort people or help them find a solution. I think people comment on the fact that you're good at understanding people's needs in a given moment, so you're good at kind of adapting to their love language and listening to what they need from you. Like if someone is venting to you about an issue, you're good at figuring out, okay, do they need me to give a practical solution or do they just want someone to vent to? And people say you're really great at making them feel very safe during those moments. I think people also refer to you as someone who other people can come to about absolutely anything. And it's like you won't judge, and you'll also take it with a grain of salt. Like if somebody wanted to ask you something, but they're worried and they say like, oh, will pal 2 get offended? People who know you well are going to say, there's no way they're going to get offended. Like honestly, you can ask them anything, you can talk to them about anything and it just won't bother them. People could say it's kind of like water off a duck's back to you, like you don't let it affect you. If somebody comes to you about something, you can kind of maintain your cool. And this could also imply that you're good at keeping secrets. Like you'll listen to people's problems and you just sort of let the problem slide off you at the end of the day. Like you try not to take everything to heart. In fact, for some of you, I'm getting that showers or being in or around water generally could be really important for you. Maybe some of you are known as someone who has to have their shower at a particular time, or you have to have like 2 showers a day minimum, or a hot bubble bath. You're known as someone who enjoys that because maybe that's your way of like washing the problems of the day off you. Maybe showers are more ritualistic for you in that way. Maybe someone has made a joke about you before, like, oh, don't interrupt how to shower time, that is like their meditation, or something along those lines. If you are in any kind of field where you're interacting with people and they are telling you personal things, this could be other people recommending you and saying you're really good at what you do because you're great at listening and caring and making people feel welcome without judgment and without shame or criticism. And I want to say that some of you could work in a field with vulnerable people or people who might approach you initially a little bit defensively at first because, you know, perhaps they don't want to be there. So I know that sounds weird, but some examples I'm getting are like maybe you work at a school as the member of staff who deals with badly behaved children, like they get sent to you, or you work with people with addictions, or you're a therapist. And on the other hand, you know, that kid at school or that person with an addiction or that person who's been at recommended therapy, they might feel like, oh, I don't want to be here or I don't want to get help because these medical professionals or these teachers or these therapists are just going to judge me and blame me and make me feel bad. But then once those people get to encounter you, they're like, oh, pal 2 is nothing like the other teachers or doctors or therapists that I've had. They don't make me feel judged. They make me feel welcome. They're actually a sweetheart. And this actually makes me want to come back and get help for these problems. I think people say they feel safe opening up to you and venting about things without feeling like you're sort of silently scrutinizing them. So if any of you do a job that involves making other people feel seen and safe, regardless of what that is, I think people say you're really, really great at it. Like you're the person they go to, you're the person they'd recommend. I also think with this refinement card, people might say that you're someone who is skilled at breaking things down into smaller and more manageable pieces. So if, for example, someone comes to you with a problem and they're really overwhelmed because it feels as though this problem is all encompassing and they have so many issues going on at once, people say you're the person who's good at being like, okay, let's take this issue on one step at a time, like let's break it down step by step, and you're good at approaching things one little bit at a time like that. This could also be indicating that people make comments that you come across as very refined. You could get a lot of compliments when it comes to looking sophisticated and kind of put together. Maybe you get a lot of people asking you where you got a certain item you're wearing from because it looks really refined and elegant. Maybe how you speak or how you carry yourself comes across that way too, like you seem really grateful and really poised. People could sometimes assume that you're of a higher class or a higher social standing than you actually are. I'm almost getting the vibe of it's like people don't want to like swear in front of you, or they don't want to like use bad or crass language, even though you wouldn't be judgmental about that. It's like they think they have to act more sophisticated when they're around you, maybe to impress you or something. I know that sounds weird, but like as just one example, if you grew up poor, or I guess it doesn't have to be poor, but if you were brought up typically working class, people could assume that you were brought up rich because of this way that you carry yourself. People say that you kind of have an aura that sort of comes across as a bit bougie, or you look or act really classy, and people struggle to discern what kind of background you come from. Maybe it's to do with the language you use. Like if you're very articulate, it could be to do with you having manners and being very polite and things like that. And people could say, oh, Paltu always looks really put together and elegant, or they always speak using really sophisticated words. Now, one thing I'm getting for you, Paltu, it's this overarching energy of like people saying that you deserve more than what you're getting. There is this message that people think that you're settling for something and you actually deserve more. And this portion isn't necessarily going to focus on the who, because we are going to cover that more in the tarot. And this could mean lots of different things, but there is this sense of someone saying, you know, I think Paltu deserves better. I think they're worth more than this. And if you're listening to this and you're 100% sure that you're not settling for something and you're happy where you are, you're content with a situation that you're in, this isn't me saying that this person is correct in their assessment of this. I'm just giving their perspective. Like, this is about what they think. For some of you, there might be truth in what this person is saying, but for others of you, they might have got the wrong end of the stick here. I'm just being honest and telling you what they're saying. But what I will say is, you know, I don't think this person has nefarious intentions. I do think they are coming from a place of genuinely wanting the best for you and thinking that they're doing right by you when they're saying this. Whether this is the truth of the situation or not, that is not for me to decide. It's going to be different for each individual, and I will give a few examples. But to touch on the person a little bit, I do think this is someone who cares about you deeply, and this is potentially someone who has been in your life for a long time, because I'm thinking of the phrase childhood sweethearts, and that doesn't have to be literal. It could very well be, you know, someone you dated when you were younger who has remained in your life, or it could just be someone who knew you when you were younger, or even knew you as a child, like maybe a best friend you've had for a long time, or a group of friends you've known forever, or a family member, even a parent or a sibling. And this person, the main message I'm getting is that they think you're settling, they think you deserve better, and some of them are saying that they think that you've limited or you've narrowed down your options too heavily when you don't have to do that. Like you've refined things too much and decided that something is your path. And this person is maybe actually saying there's other things out there for you, or there's better out there for you. So to give a few examples, this could be a parent or a friend who doesn't like your choice of romantic partner, and they're saying like, you don't have to settle for this person. Now on your end, if you are in a relationship, you could be like, I'm not settling, like this person I'm with makes me happy. And that could be true. I'm not invalidating your experiences. If your person treats you well and is good to you, I'm not claiming that you are settling. It could just be that this person assumes that you are, because maybe the person you're with isn't your typical type and you've just fallen for them. It won't be this example for you, but just to use a random example, if you have always said, I want to date someone with blonde hair, and this person has brown hair, this could be your friend or parent being like, hey, you don't have to settle for someone with brown hair. And on your end, you're not settling, it's just your type has changed or it's evolved. You're not looking for blonde hair specifically anymore. Or even like as another example, maybe a more realistic example, maybe you're with someone who has said they don't ever want kids, and maybe you used to say you wanted kids. So now your parent or your friend is like, don't settle. If you want kids, you need to find someone who wants kids as well. But maybe it just so happens that throughout the years you have changed your mind. Maybe you truly no longer want kids anymore. But this person is just worried that your partner, this person you're dating, has convinced you it's what you want and you're just settling rather than it being a genuine choice. Again, it won't be those examples for you, but what I'm saying is I don't think your parent or friend or whoever this is saying this with ill intent. They're maybe just worried about you getting hurt or rushing into a decision that you are going to regret, especially if this is someone who has known you a long time and they've seen you navigate other heartbreaks before. Like they're just concerned and they don't want you to get taken advantage of because they know how big your heart is and how much you care about people. But on the other hand, for some of you, what this person is saying, it could be valid. It depends on your personal circumstance. Maybe in the past you have attracted people who have tried to take advantage of you because of your big heart, and maybe you have accepted behaviour that you know you shouldn't have done, and this person could have spotted some red flags and they are just trying to protect you. And they're saying like, hey, you don't have to put up with this, you've got plenty of options, you don't have to settle for being treated this way, this isn't the only option you have. And it doesn't even have to be with another person. It could be like they feel as though you've settled for this certain job or career or life path because maybe you used to want to do something different. So maybe this person is saying like you don't have to settle for doing XYZ, but on your end you're not settling, it's what you want to do. This person could not like the way you've been treated at a job by managers or by colleagues. This could even be something as simple as people noticing that you're spoken to not very nicely by customers at your workplace, and them saying like, you know, Pal 2 is such a sweetheart, people talk to them like crap and they're just so polite, they shouldn't have to settle for that behaviour. And I think it's because a lot of people, it's like they recognise your worth more than you do, and they think that you're capable of much more than what you're getting. So it's like they want you to see your own potential and realise that you have other options, or you don't have to resign yourself to just this one thing. They're basically saying that you are capable of anything, and without going too much into who this is specifically, because like I said, we are going to do more of that in the tarot, I think this is definitely someone who you've both known each other for a while, like you've cared about each other for a while, even if there have been periods of time where you haven't been in each other's lives or you haven't spoken consistently, because this very much feels like you and this person, you've had your ups and downs, but ultimately they're saying if you and them have had like little disagreements or petty arguments in the past, they are saying it's water under the bridge, and ultimately they care about you, they just want what's best for you, and they don't feel like what you're receiving currently, for whatever reason, is the best you could do. So this could have been someone you've had little arguments with here and there, or you've both said some unkind things to each other at points, but ultimately the love is there, you do still care about each other, it's that kind of thing. I mean, another message that I'm getting, it could be that this person has a crush on you, if this is like a friend with secret feelings or unrequited feelings, or even a past romantic interest, or just someone who is harbouring feelings for you that they haven't really spoken about. It could be that they're saying that you're settling when it comes to a person you're dating or talking to, and it's because they think you should be with them instead. So it's kind of like, oh, Pal 2 could do so much better than that loser that they're with, they should be with me instead. And it could just be more jealousy because they want you. So they're kind of like, you know, I think Pal 2 is settling, they could be with me, and they've chosen this other person who just isn't worthy of them. So it could be multiple scenarios, but that is what I'm getting for your oracle reading so far, Pal 2. We are now going to move along to the tarot, and we're going to be getting some more information on who this person is, what they're saying about you, and why they can't stop talking about you. Thank you for listening so far, and I'll see you in the tarot portion, Pal 2. Hi, Pal 2 Collective. Welcome back to the tarot portion of your reading. Without hesitation, let's get started and have a look at the cards we pulled for you. So let's just pop your little cupcake over here for now. And starting off, we have got the Four of Swords, and the clarifier for the Four of Swords is Justice. Then we have got the Emperor, and the clarifier for the Emperor is the Seven of Swords. We have got Judgment, and we have got Death in reverse. Then we have got the Moon in reverse, and the clarifier is the Four of Cups. We have got the Five of Swords, and the clarifier for the Five of Swords is the Chariot in reverse. And then we have got the Three of Swords, and the clarifier for the Three of Swords is the Ace of Swords in reverse. Okay, Pal 2, so how you'll know who this person is, I think this person, regardless of who this is and their reasons for saying it, they've given you some indication that they are not entirely confident that the choices you are making are the right choices. So whether that's this person outright saying, you know, why are you with this person you're in a relationship with, you could do so much better than them, or if this is them saying, you know, are you certain you want this job? Are you sure it's what's right for you? Whatever it is, I think they've prompted a discussion about this. And for some of you, this person has been more tactful when it comes to their reservations about whatever it is you're doing. And for others of you, they could have outright said, you know, I think you're settling, or I don't think you're seeing this clearly. Or in whichever way this applies, I think maybe you've had a disagreement with this person about what's best for you. Maybe you've told them to back off because it's not their business, or you've told them you're not going to be able to have a relationship with them if you guys keep not seeing eye to eye on this. And so it feels like this person is saying that they are taking a step back, they're trying to give you some space because maybe they don't want to keep upsetting you with this, they don't want to ruin the relationship that you guys do have. But I think they're saying they hope that you're going to be able to see the truth, or you're going to be able to see the situation for what it is. Now, when I say the truth, I am not referring to the objective truth, I am referring to this person's truth, because this is a reading about what they believe. And for some of you, like we said, it could be that they've been jumping to conclusions and getting the wrong end of the stick. And it could just be because they care about you and they don't want you to be taken advantage of. Maybe this person is being a little bit overprotective. And perhaps that frustrates you because you're like, I can look after myself, stop assuming that I'm not happy. Like, if I wasn't happy, I wouldn't be in this situation. And in other instances, there could be some element of truth to what they're saying. And it is up to you to listen to your own intuition when it comes to which end of the spectrum you fall on there. These readings are just here for guidance. I'm just telling you what this person is saying. I don't know how you're feeling about the situation, and every situation is going to be different. It could be that they are overreacting because maybe this is someone who has made the wrong assumptions, or perhaps because they've seen you hurt before and they don't want this to happen again. So perhaps on your end, you feel like they are getting too overly involved when maybe it isn't their business to do so. Or it could be that some of the concerns that they've raised are valid concerns and they are just trying to tell you that you might be rushing in or you might be making a mistake, but they are struggling to get you to view it that way. So it's like they're saying, I've kind of had to leave this alone for now, but I hope Pal 2 will see the truth. And the truth, in their opinion, is seeing things more in their way. And again, that does not have to be your opinion. I'm just telling you how you'll know who this is because I think they've already tried to have a conversation with you about this. So if this is a parental figure, for one example, it doesn't have to be that one for you. But if for whatever reason this is your mum or dad and rightly or wrongly they do not approve of your romantic partner, this could be, other family members asking this person, oh, so what's going on with Pal 2 and that person that they're dating? And this person is saying, well, I'm not happy about it, but I'm choosing not to get involved anymore in this situation because it's causing issues in mine and Pal 2's relationship. So I've had to take a step back. I'm leaving it alone, but I hope that Pal 2 eventually sees this for what it is and they make the right decision. And it's the same, even if this is someone who has romantic feelings for you or whatever the case may be, if this person kept talking to you about how you deserve better or you're settling for less than you deserve, you could have felt like that was disrespectful and you could have put up boundaries. And you could have said to this person, if you keep saying this to me, I am going to stop communicating with you completely. And so this person is in that situation, even though they don't accept the situation that you've chosen fully, it's like they'd rather have some kind of relationship with you than nothing at all. They want to salvage this relationship. They want to keep the lines of communication open. So perhaps they're purposely not discussing the issue. Maybe they're skirting around it, they're avoiding it. Or when you bring this situation up, even if it's in a positive way, maybe this person just sort of avoids it. But behind the scenes, they could be saying to other people, yeah, I'm not happy with it. I don't fully support it, but this is the way it is right now. And if I want to have Pal 2 in my life, I'm going to have to just try and mind my business and hope that they see the truth of this situation and hope that some justice gets brought to this situation. And again, this does not have to be just a person you're dating or a romantic interest. It could be that this person doesn't approve of a platonic relationship you have in your life, or they don't approve of a job situation you're in, or they're not fully on board with a certain lifestyle you're making that doesn't align with them. But they're saying that they want you to discover the truth about this for yourself. And I think they're saying to people that they've said their piece, but now they need to let you come to your own conclusions and kind of learn your own lessons when it comes to this. It could even be something super minor, let's say you decided to change your diet and go plant-based or go gluten-free or try out keto or something like that. Maybe, let's say it's the plant-based thing. Maybe if family members ask your parents oh, is Pal 2 still doing that vegan thing? Your parents have been yeah, I've told Pal 2 that it's not good for them and they shouldn't do that and it's not healthy, but they won't listen to me and they get angry at me when I bring it up. And I don't think for most of you, it's that they're trying to shit on something you care about. It's just that maybe for some of them, they don't fully understand it. For older generations, might not understand how a plant-based lifestyle could be healthy or something. Could be misguided, but it is more coming from a place of misguided caring, because they could be saying Pal 2 always had low iron, so they shouldn't just stop eating meat. And maybe you're Mum, it's fine. I take iron supplements now. It's not a big deal. But they're not listening to you and they can't really get you to listen to them, and you guys can't really see eye to eye on it. So they're just hoping that you'll see it their way eventually, no matter what this particular set of circumstances is. But they're saying they can't be doing with the fights, the arguments, the conflicts over this. It's just stressing them out. So they're leaving the topic alone for a while because they know that it gets you worked up to talk about this. I think it's obvious this person does care about you, and that care is going to manifest in different ways depending on who this is and the nature of this relationship. For some, it's paternal, for some, it's friends, and for some, it's romantic, or it has been in the past, or maybe this person wants it to be at least. But the overarching message is the same, and that's that this person kind of wants to come in and protect you because they feel like you're being tricked or deceived with something. They could feel like you're being led astray, or you're being led to believe something when actually it's too good to be true. This person could be worried that you're surrounded by someone sneaky, and they feel like this person is an enemy masquerading as a friend or as someone who cares about you, but this person doesn't feel like it's genuine. So this person thinks they are protecting you, or they're being practical or rational because in their mind, they can see the situation for what it is, and they're saying that at this moment in time, you can't. And it could be that this person is like this because they know that you have an absolutely enormous capacity to love and such a big heart, and maybe they've seen you heartbroken or let down by people in the past. So it's as though they feel like they kind of have to step up and step in and make sure that you're not being manipulated or you're not being taken advantage of, because they can't bear to see you getting upset. So if they feel like you're getting some bad information or you're involved in something that they think is going to lead to trouble, they feel as though they have to be extra vigilant, and they kind of have to be the one who is skeptical about this because maybe they think you're sort of seeing it through rose-coloured glasses. This person could be keeping an eye on things, like they're kind of spying on the situation and keeping tabs on it because they feel like they have to look out for you. But this could annoy you because even if you know deep down this person is doing it from a place of love, maybe you're kind of like, why are you so suspicious? Why do you have to assume the worst about situations? And maybe you feel like they're kind of overstepping and getting too involved when you feel like, you can figure it out for yourself. So you could be telling them to back off. Even if you have been hurt before, I think you're saying, I'm not just some pure innocent angel who can just be taken advantage of. Like, I have my own autonomy, and if I wasn't happy, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be doing this. I'm getting like this person, regardless of their gender or whether they have romantic or platonic feelings for you, it's like they feel like they have to step up and take care of you and kind of be this emperor in your life. It's like they have to act as your daddy. So this could even be your actual dad. But if not, it's just the energy of kind of someone who is like, what are your intentions for my daughter? That kind of vibe. So this could even be a friendship group. Like maybe you feel like your friendship group have made an inaccurate assessment of the person you're currently talking to or dating. And they meet the person you're dating and it feels like an interrogation. And maybe you think they're being unnecessarily rude or asking questions that are too personal. And afterwards, they're like talking about how something was a red flag, but you feel as though they're reading too much into it or being too judgmental. So maybe they're saying, well, we didn't really like that new guy or girl that our friend is dating, but they hate when we bring it up, so we just don't anymore. And again, it's not for me to say whether their assessment is objectively true or untrue. I think it could go either way. I don't think their motivations are unkind, but if this is someone romantically interested in you, it is possible that their motivations are in part due to the fact that they want to be with you and take the place of this person you're dating. So that could be a factor for some of you where this is more romantic. So if this is an ex-baby daddy or mummy meeting your new partner under the guise of like, I want to see who's spending time with my kids or whatever, or even if you've never been with this person but it's clear they're interested in you and they somehow see or meet your partner, it's like afterwards they could say, oh, I didn't think you'd pick someone like that. You can do better than that. Or they might just raise concerns to you like, oh, I'm not sure about them. I don't know if I want them around my children, or I don't know if they're good for you. And you're like, why? What's wrong with them? And this person says like, oh, I just didn't like the way they were dressed, or I thought this one thing they said was really arrogant. And you're kind of like, oh, they were just joking. It's not that big of a deal. But they make it clear that this person does not have their approval. And it could be that they're fixating on minor flaws because they don't think anyone will be good enough for you. You could think that they're being overly judgmental though. And the thing is, they could be. I don't know if what they're saying is true or not. Some of them, they could be making baseless assumptions here. And that could be what's annoying you most, like that they've got the wrong end of the stick with this situation. One example could even be you bringing a new friend to meet your mum, and afterwards your mum is like, oh, be careful, I don't like that friend of yours, they seem really sneaky, they wouldn't even make eye contact with me. And you're like, yes, mum, it's because my friend is autistic, they're neurodivergent, they struggle with social awkwardness, they're not being deceptive. And maybe your mum has like a really old-fashioned view about things and it's just like, I don't trust them. And so it's frustrating for you that they're being so judgmental. But I think this person is saying they're trying to keep their composure and not be reactive when this situation gets brought up, even if it's kind of hard for them to hold their tongue. But on your end, you could feel like, this individual is being way too harsh, or they are making snap judgments, or they're only viewing this situation from a negative lens. And that could be frustrating for you, that they can't just be happy for you. You feel like they're being too suspicious. Now, with the death card in reverse, this could mean a couple of different things. For some of you, it could be that this person is saying that they wish you'd move on from this because they think that you're repeating some kind of negative pattern and they want you to realize this. This could apply if you have, for example, chosen to go back to somebody who things didn't work out with because you're saying things will be different this time. This person could be saying like, I'm scared of pal 2 getting hurt. I'm concerned that they're just going to get stuck in the same cycle. I wish, instead of going back to this situation, they would fully move on from it and move forward and find a new beginning elsewhere. Or even if it's not the scenario of you getting back with someone, if you have a history of slipping into the same patterns when it comes to relationships or jobs or anything in your life, it could be that this person is worrying about that. So for example, this could be a friend saying like, I can see that pal 2 is being all consumed by this new relationship and they did the same thing with the last relationship and that ended badly. So I hope they're not slipping into the same patterns. I hope they know what they're doing. Or this could be, you as one example becoming burnt out at your job and maybe someone can see that, but you're saying like, no, I'm fine. And this person is saying, I just wish they'd move on from this job. The pay isn't good. They're not treated very well. They can do so much better than this. So I just want them to go and start again somewhere else. But on the flip side of this, it could be that you think this person is jumping to conclusions and making judgments because they can't get their head around the fact that you are a different person than you used to be. That could be a factor in this. So maybe you feel like this person can't let go of the version of you who you once were, like this person can't accept that you have changed or things have changed. So this could apply if you once had a vision of what you wanted your life to look like, whether that be a relationship you're in, a job, a lifestyle you follow, whether to have kids or not have kids, whatever it is. That vision could have changed for you over the months or years, and now you want something different. But this person could be kind of stuck in the past and they could feel like you've been manipulated or tricked into thinking this one way rather than it being your decision because they can't accept that you've just changed your mind. So for example, if you used to say you wanted kids and you no longer want kids, this could be your mum being like, oh, you used to always say you wanted to be a parent. You used to carry a doll around with you all the time and say that it was your baby. And you might be like, yeah, when I was 5, like my priorities and wants have changed now. It doesn't have to be that example, but it could be this person, clinging onto that old version of you and maybe saying that you've been tricked into feeling like you want something, but they know that you really can't be happy with it deep down. But that could be frustrating for you because maybe you're like, I can make my own decisions. I know what I want. Like, stop assuming that someone is making this decision for me. So this person, they can't stop talking about you. And it's not that they're bad-mouthing you. I think it's more like they're worried, perhaps needlessly so. But I think they're venting to people because they know that it's not good for the relationship you have with each other if they keep bringing this up. I do think when other people bring this up to them, whether this is other family members or other friends or whatever, this person is adamant that you are the one not seeing things clearly. So they could be saying that they think you're lying to yourself about this. Maybe they're saying that you're like keeping your composure, but it's a facade. They might say, pal 2 acts like they're happy with this, but deep down I know they're not, and I know the truth is going to be unveiled with this. They could think that maybe you're too close to the situation to see things for what they are. Maybe they're saying they're fearful that you're not leaning into your intuition or you are ignoring the red flags. If this is like a friend group talking about the person you're dating, if you date men, the group could be saying like you're dickmatized, or if you're dating women, maybe clitmatized. Like you're not seeing the situation for what it is because the schmex is too good or something like that. You're too wrapped up in things to see them properly. But whoever this person is, I think they are acknowledging that they haven't gone about it in the best way or a way that best protects the relationship you and them have, whatever that relationship may be. Because they're saying like, oh, I thought I was being proactive. I thought I was doing the right thing by pal 2 by mentioning this. I thought I had to step up and protect them and take action because I don't want to see them heartbroken. But them overly involving themselves could have actually pushed you away. And I think they've realized that now. So they're saying, I think I was a little too forceful with it. I was too aggressive with my stance. And even though I might not be happy with this circumstance, I've realized that pal 2 is an adult and they have to make their own decisions and go through these lessons themselves. They have to learn this in their own way. So they are still very much like, I want pal 2 to get out of this situation and I've told them, but they won't listen to me. But when people are asking like, oh, are you going to keep doing something about it? I think this person is saying like, no, the only thing I can do is just be there for them and let them make their own choices. I hope that they see things for what they are, but I can't force them to do things my way. And if I keep trying to force it, it's going to ruin my relationship with pal 2. So this person is kind of saying, I'm choosing to focus on the positives. Like if pal 2 is telling me they're happy, then I'm happy for them and I'm going to try focusing on that. And they're saying like, as long as this topic doesn't get brought up, my communication with pal 2 is positive. Like our relationship is back on track when we just don't bring this up. So they're saying they're avoiding bringing it up or they're trying to gloss over it. They're just not communicating about this particular issue. They're sort of saying they're surrendering to it for now because you've got to decide this for yourself. And I don't think they're blaming you. They're not saying like, oh, this is all Paltu's fault that we argue about this. It's just like they're telling people, you know, I'm giving this situation a break because whenever it gets mentioned, me and Paltu just can't seem to see eye to eye. We end up having serious misunderstandings about this, or we end up just getting upset. So I am just leaving this alone. Because this person, they don't want to be in separation with you, they don't want there to be a divide, and they don't want to keep getting you upset or frustrated over this. So they're like, I'm just walking away from it for now. They're saying whenever this gets brought up, the conversation quickly becomes hostile. Maybe you guys do end up kind of insulting each other, or one person ends up storming out, and it starts to feel more like enemies than two people who care about one another, and this person doesn't want that. They still do not see it in your way. They still do not agree with the situation. This is even making me think of like different political beliefs for some of you, maybe an argument with somebody close to you because you just can't see eye to eye on an issue. But they are like still saying to people they think you're making the wrong decision, or you've been given misinformation, or you are the one confused about this. They're saying they think you're not asserting what you really want, and they might also believe that this situation could be potentially destructive. Again, it could be that they feel like you are making similar mistakes because you're forgetting how bad things got last time in whatever way that applies. But they're still saying like, you know, although that's how I feel, I realise I can't force Paltu to do anything, and I don't want to add to their stress, and I'm trying not to also add to my stress. So right now we are just not talking about it. I'm trying to not react when this gets brought up, and I'm trying to let them make their own choices with this. Because they're saying ultimately, you know, even if they feel like the situation you're in isn't for the best, they might feel it's unjust. They might feel like you're being mistreated or misguided. Even if they want to step in and take charge and make things right for you, they realise that getting too involved in this is further alienating you from them, and they don't want that. They want to make it clear that if you do see the truth about this situation, they're saying that they want to be there for you, and it's not so they can be like, oh, I told you so, or whatever, but they just don't want you to feel like you're alone in this, is what they're saying. So they're holding out hope for you changing your mind, essentially. I don't know if you will, Paltu, but that is what they're saying. That is what I'm getting for the tarot portion of your reading. If you liked this reading, please like the video. If you get a chance, please comment and let me know how the reading resonated for you, or just let me know which pile you picked. If you don't feel comfortable letting me know what resonated, all of that would help me and this channel so much. If you haven't done so already, please consider subscribing. I would really appreciate that. With all of that said, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for listening. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one, Pal 2. Hi Pal 3 Collective! If you chose Pal 3 with the Light Seers Tarot and the strawberry sticker, you are in the correct place. Welcome to your reading, friends. If you would like a full breakdown regarding this reading and what it might entail, please check out the instruction and go through absolutely everything there. I will also leave some details in the pinned comment below. If you want to have a quick glance at that, go right ahead. But today we are asking, what do people say about you behind your back? Who can't stop talking about you and why? So the oracle reading will be more focused on your general energy, what people tend to comment on most when it comes to you. Some of these things could be things you know, some of it could be things you don't know, but hopefully you will recognize some aspect of yourself in the oracle reading, and you can use this as confirmation that you have chosen the right pile. If the person talking about you most comes through during this portion of the reading, I will mention that. However, after the oracle reading, we're going to be moving on to the tarot, and that's going to be a deeper dive on the person who cannot keep your name out of their mouth. So we are going to be looking at who that is, your relationship to that person, what they are saying, why they are saying it, what their intentions are, and what is the purpose of them yapping about you, and all of that. So please note that if one individual says something about you, that doesn't automatically make it true, and you do not have to accept it as such. Ultimately, somebody could turn around and say something about you, and then somebody else could turn around and say the complete opposite. So take everything with a pinch of salt. These readings are supposed to be fun and entertaining. They're supposed to provide clarity and help you feel empowered into making the best decisions for you. They are not intended to piss you off. These readings are here to confirm what your intuition already knows so that you can make an informed decision. If something doesn't sound like you or anyone else in your life, maybe that particular message isn't for you, and that's okay. I do try to deliver all my messages with honesty and integrity, but I also try and do it as respectfully and sensitively as I can in the hopes that will leave you feeling uplifted. That said, if you don't think you're in the headspace to hear about what other people might have to say about you right now, then please act in your best interest and give this one a miss. You are always welcome back to the next one. Hopefully this will be a gossipy, cheese spill, juicy, spicy, fun, potentially a little bit hypey kind of reading. And with all of that said, I really, really do appreciate you being here and listening. It means a lot to me, and I can't thank you enough for taking time out of your day to let me read for you. So thank you so much for sending me your beautiful energy. And without hesitation, let's have a look at the cards we pulled for you today. So starting over here on the left, we have got Brawny Bear, Power, Inner Strength, Rejuvenation, Mighty Guardian of the Woods, Connect Me to the Power of the Earth. We have got number 39, Release. We have got number 4, Pride, Self-Esteem, Self-Worth, Ego. We have got Soulmate Only. You have many soulmates who would be great for you. There's not just one. And we have got Prevailing. Stand firm in your belief and trust in the guidance of the universe. Know you will emerge stronger and more resilient than ever before. So I always like to start off these readings by mentioning the numbers on the cards in case these are relevant to anyone. They certainly don't have to be for this to be your pile. These just tend to be extra confirmations for specific individuals. So these could be relevant in terms of an age, a birthday, a day, month or year, an age gap, a life path, an astrological house, or an angel number or synchronicity you are seeing a lot of. So we have the number 39. Somebody could be 39 years old right now. That could be you, or it could be the person we are going to be talking about. The numbers 3 and 9 and 4 generally might be relevant, so somebody born on the 3rd of a month or in March, somebody might have a birthday coming up very soon, or perhaps somebody born on the 4th of a month or in April, also somebody born on the 9th of a month or in September. Pisces, Aries or Taurus might be significant, Gemini, Virgo, Libra or Sagittarius might also be relevant. I'm just thinking about the 3rd, 4th and 9th houses as well as the months we just mentioned. And if we add all of the numbers up together we get 16, so that might also be relevant for somebody too. With you choosing the strawberry sticker today, maybe somebody here loves their strawberries or their sweet fruits. Maybe that's something you find yourself craving. Strawberries always remind me of summer, so perhaps something about the summer season is relevant too. Maybe somebody loves going to their local farmer's market and picking the perfect strawberries. Something about cottagecore decorations is coming through, so it could be like somebody has sweet little embroidered strawberries on their bag or on their dress, or somebody likes that style of clothing or homeware. It could just be something that's with a strawberry flavour, like a body spray, some kind of fragrance, or a scrub or lip balm. Maybe somebody likes those kinds of sweet scents. If it's you, one thing that people could say about you is that you smell really, really good. You could be known for being that person who walks into the room and people ask like, oh, something smells so good, what are you wearing? You could smell like a sweet treat or a baked item. For some reason, I don't know why, but when I'm looking at this bear card, there's something coming through about you looking really good in these particular colours that are on the flowers in the background. So pairing, you know, like that blue shade with that kind of browny apricot-y, peachy colour. I don't know why that's coming through. There could also be something significant about a bear here. Maybe somebody has recently watched a film with a bear in, or maybe somebody has a really fluffy dog that kind of looks like a bear, or somebody's dog is called Bear. That's just a message for one individual. So one thing that people might say about you, Pal 3, is that you give really great hugs. I'm thinking of like a bear hug. You might make people feel really safe and secure when you wrap them up in a hug. If you are smaller in stature, this might actually surprise people. You don't have to be, but if you do look a little bit more delicate and then you give these really big, tight, firm squeezes, it might surprise people how strong you are. That could be a thing that people say about you generally. Maybe they're surprised by how strong you are, especially if you are a woman or you're smaller. People might want to come over and help you if they see you lifting something heavy, but maybe it just seems like you lift it as if there's no problem, and this kind of surprises them. For those of you who have been working out or you've been working on your strength training, people could be pointing out that it looks like it's paying off, or that they see some kind of muscle definition or something. I know that won't apply for everyone, but regardless anyway of your outward appearance or even your physical strength, there is definitely something about you having internal strength and also a very, very powerful presence. So regardless of whether your stature is more intimidating or anything like that, it could just be that when you walk in a room, people pay attention to you. I also feel like people tend to say that you're very protective, particularly when it comes to people you love and care about. People might say that you're kind of like this fierce mama or papa bear, and that you will come to people's defense when they need you to. I think that alongside this powerful presence, I think it's kind of indicating that you might have a little bit of like a don't fuck with me sort of vibe, but I think your power is used to look after the people you care about. And people could kind of say this in a jokey way too. Like, let's say you are a parent. If somebody hurts your children, it's like your fierce mama bear or papa bear instinct comes out, and maybe people say like, oh, you don't want to do something to harm Pal 3's cubs, they will rip you to shreds kind of thing. So they say that you'll do anything to protect those you care about. But it could be strength as in, if people close to you are aware that you've been through some kind of challenging situation recently, they could be saying that you are someone who is known as having a lot of strength and resilience, and you're a tough person to have gotten through some of what you've been through. This could also be indicating that people think you have a lot of power generally, and people might often say that you're someone who won't be told what to do. Like, basically, you are the opposite of meek. Now, that doesn't have to mean that you're super loud or extroverted, but even for those of you where you identify more as a quieter person, people tend to say that you're someone who will not back down, and if you need your voice to be heard, you will be heard. Basically, people can't shut you down or take away your power. People could say that you're somebody who, maybe despite having a tougher exterior, you're actually quite sentimental and you're loyal to the people in your life. They could say that you're someone who, like, once you're in, you're all in. And when you care about somebody, it's like you would go to the ends of the earth for them. You're committed to that person. Like, once you fall in love with somebody, there's this feeling like it is going to be forever. People who have experienced your love could say that they've never experienced a love like it, in terms of maybe having something long lasting or something that hasn't faded over time. It's something that stays intense. People could say that when you love very, very, very hard. Like, the entire way that you show your love feels like being enveloped in this huge bear hug. So it can maybe feel all-encompassing and intense to people when they're in it. And when things have ended with you, you're definitely someone who people remember. The feelings don't just go away easily. Like, the people who have been cared for by you remember that feeling forever. And I think in relationships particularly, there's a lot of people who make a lot of effort in the early stages of dating, but then, maybe when they get more comfortable in that relationship, like, things become official or they move in together. Once they get into the routine, that effort kind of slides a little bit, and the couple don't plan as many date nights, or they don't make as much time for intimacy and things like that. And I feel like people say that with you, the magic prevails. Like, the spark is very much kept alive all throughout the relationship. Basically, you'll never stop committing unless the other person stops committing. You put as much effort in at the beginning as you do throughout the relationship. And so for a lot of people, it's an honor to be loved in a dedicated way like that. Now, that said, although you love hard and fiercely and intensely, that is coming through, people also say, they make remarks that your cutoff game is strong. Like, if you're in, but once you're done, you are all the way done, and it's never going to go back to how it was. So people say that you're someone who, you will give people the benefit of the doubt, and you might try to make things work for a long time, but once you're done, once something tips you over the edge, that's it. There's no going back. So this makes me think that you're someone who is very, I don't know if this is the right word, but decisive, and you might take your time with making those decisions. You might be slower moving when it comes to saying, like, this is what is happening, but once you've said you're going to do something, you are going to do something. So perhaps that's why you take your time on it, because you don't go back on your word. People could say that you are very loyal to your word. People say that you're not swayed easily from your choices. In fact, you could actually be considered quite fixed or quite stubborn. Like, there is no budging you. You're quite immovable when it comes to your decisions. Fixed sign energy might be significant to this pile. And if you're thinking like, oh, but I'm really indecisive, I can't make my mind up about things, that's valid. Some decisions are harder than others, and it might take you some time to finalize tough decisions. That's understandable. But once you have given that final verdict, it really is the final verdict, if that makes sense. Like, once you're committed to something, that is it. So for example, if you break up with someone and you tell them you're never ever getting back together, you're probably not the type to go back on that a week later. Now, it might take you a long time to reach that place of making the decision to break up. You might put up with a lot or let things kind of slide for a period of time. It might take a lot of tension building up for you to reach that breaking point. But it's like, once the dam is broken, it's all the way broken, and there's no fixing it. There's no going back. So it feels like you're someone who, instead of having like a big blow up fight over something minor, then kicking your partner out of the house, then telling them that they can come back a week later, then having another blow up fight again, you are more likely to be someone who can remain calm throughout the minor stuff, but eventually you will reach that breaking point. And once you get to that stage, it's like the damage has already been done. So you could be the type to, not necessarily have that blowout fight, but if the person you're with has already hurt you and they've done something to then like tip you over the edge, you're going to have your bags packed, you're going to change your name and be on a different continent before they can even blink. So people could say that you're someone who might mentally check out of a relationship before you actually physically leave. But I think there's this sense of you being like, well, I can forgive to a point, obviously depending on what it is. But if someone repeatedly hurts you, you're okay with just dipping out and leaving them in the dust, because you don't owe anyone an explanation. You don't allow them the opportunity to convince you that they should get another chance, because they already had plenty in your eyes. Because people say that you're someone who says what they mean and you mean what you say, and you might not like it when other people aren't upfront. Honesty could be really, really crucial to you. People might say that you're someone who cares more about the fact someone lied than what they actually lied about. People might also say you're really good at transforming and turning your life around, because again, once you're invested in something, you are capable of giving it your full attention and really committing to it. People could say something about your level of stamina or that you have a lot of endurance. This doesn't have to be literal. For some of you, it could be like maybe with physical fitness or something like that, or maybe with intimacy. Maybe you're someone who people say can go like all night or like multiple rounds. But I think this is more about people saying that you're good at keeping up with things. Like you can do something for a long time, and it can be with absolutely anything. It could be with a healthy eating regime. You're good at reaching goals when it comes to that, because once you want something, you can stick to it really, really well. Like you have a lot of willpower. Or it could be like, if you want to write a book, maybe someone you live with sees you writing at 8 a.m. and then when they get home at 5 p.m, you're still writing, you're still like fully immersed in it. You're good at consistently putting your energy into the places you'd like your energy to remain. So there's just this general message of people saying like, once you're all about something, you're all about it, but once you want to move on, you move all the way on, and you're kind of good at shifting your reality and making things completely different. So people might say that you're someone who is capable of completely glowing up after a breakup, or you're good at coming back from difficult situations in your life as this brand new person who is ready to take on the world again. They're saying like once you come back way better than before. People might say that you're someone who finds it a little difficult to swallow their pride and admit when they're wrong. It could go back to what we were saying about you being a little bit stubborn. Like if you're still set on something being one particular way, it might be difficult for you to change your ways before you're ready to change your ways. And again, that can apply to anything. It could be something as simple as like someone showing you a new method, and even if their method is objectively easier, you're like, thank you, but I'm going to continue to do it my way. People could say that you're a bit of a stickler when it comes to your specific routine, or you might struggle with abrupt changes of plan. Or it could be that example of you being in a relationship and struggling to reach that stage where you are ready to call it quits, because maybe you're somebody who likes to consider things for a long time. You want to be certain that you're making the right decision, because once it's been made and been vocalized, you are not going to go back on it. People might say that you are patient up to a point, but when you reach that point and get past it, that's when people need to worry. People could sometimes think you have a little bit of a pride issue. Maybe you don't like admitting when you're hurt by something, or maybe you struggle to back down, or maybe you're somebody who doesn't like to give in. Like if you're not speaking to somebody, maybe people say that you're never the one to sort of crack first and give in and send that first message or something like that. People might be saying that they're proud of you currently if you've reached some milestone or achievement. People could be commenting on your success or saying that they're happy for you. This could also be indicating that people are proud to have you in their life. Maybe the people who love you are proud to call you a partner or friend or parent, whatever the case may be. I think people are saying that your reputation is really important to you, and I think this goes back to what we said about you wanting to be honourable and to keep to your word. I think people say that you're not somebody who is known as being flaky, and that's not to say that you never cancel plans or whatever, but I feel like people are saying, when you do cancel plans, they know it's for a genuine reason. You probably don't just ghost people, like unless they deserve it, but otherwise, if you say you're going to be somewhere, you're going to be somewhere. Like you don't mess people around and you are pretty direct. I also feel people are saying that your self-worth comes first, which is a good thing. It's not saying that you're selfish, it's that you respect yourself enough to honour your boundaries and not cave if somebody disrespects those boundaries. So again, if you break up with somebody because they cheated on you and you're like, I'm never taking them back, I'm over it, you're not going to be the type to turn around and tell everyone a week later that you've taken them back. And because your reputation and your self-respect is really important to you. So people might say it's obvious you honour your principles, and even if you, in that example, might still love or care for that person, you are going to do right by you, and I think people really respect you for that. People say you're good at showing them what you will and won't put up with and how to be treated. People might say that you're somebody who takes pride in their appearance, or maybe you're house proud or something like that. And I don't mean this in the way of like you showing off about your things. By taking pride in, I mean it more like you invest in the things you care about. So you might invest in your appearance, and when you show up every day, it's clear you've made the effort, it's clear you look after yourself, or maybe it's clear you take a lot of time to decorate your house so it has the perfect vibe. But it could also be that you take a lot of pride in the relationships in your life, and that's why you make the effort to honour those relationships. So in terms of who is coming through on this reading today, part 3, and we will talk about this more thoroughly in the tarot, but I did want to mention it here too because I already feel some messages coming through. But this person is definitely someone you've experienced some kind of soulmate connection with. Now, when I say soulmate connection, that does not have to be romantic. For the majority of you, it probably will lean romantic because it feels like something quite intense and long-lasting here. But for others of you, this could be a platonic soulmate bond. So someone you used to have a really intense friendship with, or someone you felt was like a soul sister or brother, part of your soul tribe at one point. And I say used to because it feels like this is somebody who you have maybe let go of. Because we have that release card and we were getting so many messages about you being done once you're done. So this could be someone who you have ended a relationship or friendship with, maybe somebody you've grown apart from or felt the need to move on from, or somebody who pushed you to those extreme limits and you have no choice but to sort of cut them off and release them. I'm not going to say at this point that all of you are categorically not talking to this person because we're all in different scenarios and of course there's no way of knowing that 100%, but I wouldn't be surprised if many of you were in some kind of separation or period of silence with this person. But if this is someone you talk to or you have to talk to occasionally, it feels like this person on their end wishes they could be closer to you because they still very much feel that soulmate bond. Even if this is somebody who you felt a bond with and they never admitted their feelings and things got distant, it feels like maybe you have moved on from that situation and perhaps they can feel that you've pulled away, but they are noticing that their feelings have remained, their feelings have stayed the same. So they haven't been able to let go of this, they are still thinking about you, either wishing they could be back in your life or wishing you guys were closer or you guys were talking again. They might feel like you have fully let go or you have released them, but they're still thinking about you and saying that you're a soulmate. They're saying that their feelings have not gone away. So I'm sure we are going to get into more of that in the tarot. So that is what I'm getting for your oracle reading so far, pal 3. We are now going to move along to the tarot and try and spill some more tea on who this is. So we're going to get some more information on who this person is, what they're saying about you, and why they can't stop talking about you. Thank you for listening so far, and I will see you at the tarot portion, pal 3. Hi pal 3 collective, welcome back to the tarot portion of your reading. Without hesitation, let's get started and have a look at the cards that we pulled for you. Just going to pop your strawberry to one side. So starting off, we have got the High Priestess in reverse, and the clarifier is the 8 of Swords. We have got the 10 of Pentacles, and the clarifier for the 10 of Pentacles is the 5 of Pentacles. We have got the Page of Pentacles, and the clarifier for the Page of Pentacles is the Queen of Wands. We have got the 6 of Cups reversed, and the clarifier for the 6 of Cups reversed is the Emperor. We have got the Queen of Swords, and the clarifier for the Queen of Swords is the 10 of Wands. And we have got the 8 of Cups, and the clarifier for the 8 of Cups is the 9 of Swords. Okay, pal 3, so we already mentioned that this is someone who you once thought was a soulmate, or if you don't agree with that concept, at the very least this person was once very important to you and you had some kind of close relationship with them. Now, for a lot of you, it was romantic. For some of you, it was more of a deep friendship connection, but at some point in your life, you cared about this person a lot and you were good together, you were vibing, there were feelings of mutual love and care and affection in whatever form that affection takes. You had some kind of solid foundation with this person. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of you had lived with this person before, although that does not have to be the case, but at the very least, you and this person felt this bond with each other and you were in some kind of stable routine where you talked every day or you knew, I guess, what to expect from each other. So, for example, you know, some friends you can go weeks without talking to and it's not weird. But for this person, if you were friends who talked every day, it would be weird if one person just stopped. Like, that change of routine would definitely be noticed. So maybe if one of you didn't send a message that morning or whatever, maybe the other person would always follow it up because it was kind of normal for you guys to always know to some extent what was going on in each other's lives. Even if it wasn't every day, it feels like at one point you were in this consistent communication or you knew a lot about one another's routine or you always had some kind of plan going on in the background to meet up. You were a part of each other's daily lives essentially. But I'm definitely getting that something has ended or gone awry here, or at the very least, you guys have drifted apart, even if nothing has been said officially. And it is going to be different for each individual person watching. For some of you, this might be a straight up, like, it's over, move out of my house, dramatic breakup. And for others of you, this could be more like two friends who sort of had a disagreement and kind of drifted apart more slowly. But in either case, it's like this person is saying that now they feel like it's too late because they feel like you've let go of this. And this person is saying that they feel restricted and they're making a point of saying something that bothers them with this High Priestess in reverse is that there was once a time when they knew you so well, or they always like kind of knew what you were up to, and now they feel as though they know nothing about you. Now, this could be deliberate on your part if, for example, you have blocked to this person or made your social media profiles private so they can't have access to you. Maybe it's because you don't want them to know anything about you for a valid reason. You could very much be the type of person to delete exes and ex-friends off social media because you're like, if you blew your chance with me, you don't deserve to know about me in that way. You don't deserve to get to know what's going on for me. And so I think this person is saying that they're feeling trapped because ultimately, like, they can't get a read on you right now. They're saying like, oh, pal 3 could be a completely different person now since I last spoke to them. What if they've moved on, or they're in another relationship, or they don't want to be friends? So they might be saying that they think about reaching out, but then they feel too anxious, so they just stay stuck where they are because it's impossible for them to know what your reaction might be. And they might be saying that they think you would react negatively to them doing this. They're saying that they're worried because they still feel this pull towards you, but the rope that kind of tied the two of you together, they feel as though you've untied your end of the rope. So it feels like they're kind of searching in the dark. That's a phrase I keep getting. They feel in the dark. And I think what they mean is like, maybe they still feel the energy of this connection and all the feelings that come with that, but it's like they've lost track of your energy. It's almost like they had a way of keeping track of you for a while, but then suddenly you just fell off their map. They lost sight of you, you fell off the radar, and they couldn't find you again. So now they feel lost and they don't know how to navigate it or which direction to go in. They're saying they've lost control here for some reason. Maybe it's just that they've sensed that you have released their energy and they're no longer feeling you in their energy space. Or it could be like, maybe following the breakdown of this relationship or friendship, they could have had a way of initially keeping tabs on you, and that was like their sense of safety in a way. And even if they didn't reach out to you directly, knowing that they could find a way to reach out if it went on too long or things went too far, that was like a relief for them. So maybe you still have them on social media, or you had an open profile at that point. So perhaps they could check on you if they wanted to. Or if it's not that, maybe there was a mutual friend who could provide feedback and let this person know what you're up to. But now it's like, I'm hearing the responders aren't working, like they've lost the connection, they've lost the signal. So now they're saying they can't catch up with what you're doing. This could even be like them having the option of an open dialogue with you. So like maybe they weren't messaging you, but maybe previously they knew that they could find a way to message you if they wanted to. But now for some reason they can't. They feel like something's been taken away. And so that's kind of making them panic because they've lost that small bit of attachment that they had. They're saying that they've been silenced, like they aren't being given the option to start a conversation with you. So that could refer to blocking for some of you, or messages remaining undelivered or read or something like that. Maybe you're just not even opening their messages anymore, even if they can contact you. It could also be that they're saying that they think it would start a drama to reach out to you. They're also saying that they believe you are more likely to have a negative attitude if they did this. And this is in no way shaming you, pal 3, because if you have a negative attitude with them, it's probably for a valid reason. I'm just reiterating what they're trying to say here. So they either think that you would respond badly by getting upset with them, or maybe they think you wouldn't respond at all, or they think that you'd kind of judge them even and ask like, why are you messaging me after all this time? They just think it will create issues of some kind. They could also be worried because 8 of Swords can refer to like a jury trial. They might be worried that if they were to reach out, they're saying you might send screenshots of their messages to other people or to your group chat or something. And they're saying they don't want other people involved, or they don't want people judging them. They're saying they don't want to rehash old events and be persecuted for things that happened in the past. But they feel as though that's the way it might go if they were to say something. Like maybe they feel as though your friends would play the role of judge, jury, and executioner, and they don't want other people involved in this. With the 5 of Pentacles, that can also talk about feeling as though the world is against you. So if there are, for whatever reason, other people involved in this situation, other people who are just aware of what's going on, I feel like this person is saying that either everyone is on your side, or there would be people around you who would be wary and be watching out if this person tried to get closer to you again, and that concerns them. Maybe it's this person saying, like, what's the point, because your family or your friends hate me anyway, everyone's against them, they don't like them. There's this sense of them acknowledging that they've sort of disgraced themselves, and if they were to reach out, it's like they'd be coming back with their tail between their legs. They're saying they feel alienated from your world, they're feeling like they're not part of it anymore. They're saying that they've been shut out or left in the cold, and they're also saying they feel like you're doing better without them, to be quite honest. The example I'm getting, and it doesn't have to be this one for you, but what's popping into my head is sometimes when a couple goes through a breakup, sometimes you find one person glows up and really tries to better themselves and to move on, and the other person stays struggling or stays embroiled in drama or feeling that sense of lack, or they just can't move on. And that is what it feels like here. And I think this person is saying, from the snippets they get about you, they're like, oh, pal 3 is doing so good. They've had this glow up. It looks like they're happy and successful. And here I am still feeling this loss or still feeling like my life is in ruin. So I think they're saying it's bothering them that you're doing so good, and it looks like this hasn't affected you as badly as it's affected them. Now, this could just be what they're being shown rather than how you actually feel. It could be at one point it felt like it was the other way around, but this is what they're saying now. So a lot of time could have passed since you last interacted with them. But the other example I'm getting, and it doesn't have to be that this example literally applies for you, but if this was some kind of separation or breakup or even like a friendship breakup, it's like this person is saying to other people, oh, it just came out of the blue. They're saying, I wasn't expecting it at all. Like, one minute we were so happy and then they just wanted to end things, and it was just out of nowhere, so unexpected. And you do hear that with a lot of divorces. Like, one person in a couple, might try to bring up problems repeatedly, or they might suggest going to therapy or something, and the other person shuts them down. And when the first person finally reaches the end of their tether and is like, you know what, I can't do this anymore, I tried but you won't listen, we're going to have to end this, the person on the receiving end of that suddenly starts telling people this sob story and being like, no, there was no warning, the divorce just came completely out of nowhere, this person just left me, they just abandoned me, I thought we were so happy. But really, the whole time, they hadn't been listening to what that first person was saying, they hadn't been taking it seriously, they hadn't been trying to work on that relationship. So even if this is like a friendship, the things you might have brought up to this person in terms of issues you had with them, they could have passed those things off as like no big deal. So when you distance yourself, they're telling people you ditched them for no reason. They're like, oh, pal 3 just left me out in the cold. But they're ignoring the part that they had to play, maybe. I think they're saying like, oh, life looks perfect over there for pal 3, meanwhile I'm here out in the cold. But there is this possibility that they brought it on themselves more than what they're telling other people. And if it isn't just that, I do think also this person is kind of saying, oh, but we did have good times. Like, me and pal 3 had something good. We had something solid and stable, something comfortable. We did have these really happy moments. So they could just be saying they miss those times with you and they'd like to be able to get back to a good place with you. They could be saying, since you and them haven't been in communication, they felt as though your life has only been getting better, but that they've had a string of bad luck. They feel like they've had it really hard. I think one thing this person is commenting on to other people is that you're looking really, really good lately, because the Queen of Wands always just makes me think of like heat. So they could be saying you've gotten hotter and hotter, especially if this is someone who has been physically attracted to you in the past. They probably still are. And even if it's not, this could be someone saying like, damn, I don't know what pal 3 is doing, but they're looking really good lately. I need to get back in their life, if only to ask them for some tips on how they are doing that. But I think for a lot of you, it is this physical thing of this person maybe seeing you in whatever context they can and feeling maybe schmetrally frustrated because they don't have that kind of access to you. So they're kind of sighing and saying to other people like, oh, I fumbled a baddie. Even if they don't have you on social media and all they can see is just like a tiny little bit of your picture, or even if they just see you from afar, it's almost like they search you up or they get someone to show them a picture of you and they're wanting you to not look the way you do, because if you didn't look as good as you do, maybe they would use that to justify to themselves that they're not attracted to you, or you can't be doing as well as what they think you're doing. So this could be them asking a friend like, hey, what is pal 3 looking like these days since me and them stopped speaking? And a part of them is hoping that your life has fallen apart and you look a mess or you're not taking care of yourself or whatever. But it's like it's the opposite, and this person has no choice to admit like, damn, they are actually looking really good. I can't even say anything bad to be truthful, like they are looking fine. And I think that happens, whether this is romantic or platonic, I don't think it matters. Because if it is romantic and this person already has feelings, it makes them more physically frustrated, yes, because they're half hoping that if you don't look good, it'll make it easier for these feelings to go away. But even if it's like a platonic person you've had to remove from your life, in that situation, it becomes this competition of like, oh, okay, well, let's see how well pal 3 is doing without me. And maybe they're sort of half hoping to be able to make some snarky comment and say like, oh, pal 3 really let themselves go, because they want to feel happy that they're doing better than you. But then they see you and it's like, oh, I can't even say shit because they do look good. There's no denying it. They could be saying to people that you're looking really healthy, or you're coming across as super confident, or you look like you have a lot of good things going on for you right now. But I also think, with that Page of Pentacles, I think they're saying, especially if this is romantic, it's like they're saying they feel a bit left out in the cold because they feel as though you've lost your spark for them, or that you're passionate about other things right now. So if you do have to communicate with this person for whatever reason, you could be doing that thing where you're speaking to them in a very sort of neutral or business-like way. Maybe it's very straight to the point, or you're refusing to engage in anything flirty, or you're not putting in much effort to speak to them. Maybe you're making the conversation kind of dry with them. And so they're feeling like, oh, I'm shut out in the cold, and pal 3 is investing their passions elsewhere. They could be asking, like, where are pal 3's passions being directed if they're not being directed towards me? So maybe they're worried you are speaking with other people, or they're just worried that you're no longer wanting to invest as much energy into them. Even if this is like a friendship, if you and this person once spoke every day and you knew everything the other one was up to, now if you do speak to them, you could be very nonchalant or just giving them the bare minimum, and they miss the effort that you put in. They're saying they miss not having access to that. They could also be saying that they know that you were a loyal, faithful, and dependable person, and they know that they took advantage of that in some way. They could be saying that they're planning how they can get you excited about them again, because they feel like you're focusing on other things, you're excited about other things, and it doesn't include them. And it doesn't have to be another person, it could just be on your end. Maybe you're focusing on your career or your education or personal passions or other relationships in your life. You're focusing on nurturing other things. But I think this person, it's kind of like they're waving at you and they're wanting to say like, hey, I'm over here, don't forget me. Because maybe once you invested a lot into them, whether this is a relationship or friendship, it's like you gave a lot of energy to them, and they can see that that level of intense energy is being invested elsewhere, and they are trying to get you to put it back onto them. So this person, you know, if you do talk to them in any capacity, if they are able to contact you, they could still be feeling like they don't have access or as much access as they used to. And they could be like trying to start conversations with you and trying to get you to like open up. You know, as one example, this could be the kind of person who tries to get your attention by replying to all your stories on social media, trying to start conversation in your DMs. And whereas maybe you used to dedicate a paragraph to them, or you used to make conversation back, now it's like you just say, haha, or you just heart react, or you just don't reply at all. You leave them on read or something. And this person is saying like, oh, I just feel as though pal 3 has other things going on for them and they're not wanting to spend much time on me anymore. They have other prospects. I think this person is saying, like with the 6 of Cups reversed and with this Emperor upright, they're saying they're bored without you. Like life has lost its whimsy. Maybe they're saying they just feel like there's little excitement or passion at the moment for them, and they're kind of stuck in this rigid routine where they're doing the same thing day in, day out. Like everything is focused on the practical, but there's nothing really to get excited or feel passionate about. I also think they're wondering if you would be willing to move on from the past or let go of the past. The past keeps being highlighted here. They could be saying that they see a future with you if you're able to resolve some kind of long-standing issue here. Some of them might be looking at your past relationship or friendship through rose-tinted glasses. So maybe they're talking to people about memories you guys share, things you used to get up to. They're talking about the fun you had and how good it was, but maybe they're kind of missing out the part where things started to go wrong or they did something to piss you off. I feel like a lot of the stories they tell about you to other people, they're looking at things in a very nostalgic way and saying like, oh, I had the best time of my life when me and pal 3 did XYZ, but they're not really talking too much about the bit where you guys fell out or they did something to annoy you or upset you. Another thing I'm thinking as well with these 2 cards coming out together like this, I feel like this person is saying they've done a lot of maturing and growing up since you last spoke. They could even be saying that they've gone to therapy or they've gone to counselling or they're working through some of their childhood issues if that was ever a problem in you guys' connection. I think they're saying they've changed a lot since you were last in touch. They're saying, you know, I don't want pal 3 to think of me as being in the same immature energy, because I'm not a kid now. Like I'm a fully grown man or a fully grown woman, and I'm ready to like step up to the plate and be solid for them this time. They could also be feeling kind of protective over you too, or they feel like you've both done some growing up in the time you've been apart, especially if you're not allowing them much access in terms of what's going on in your life, and if you're going to new places or hanging out with new people. I think this person is asking like, who is pal 3 with these days? Like, are they okay? Are these people good for them? It's kind of this overprotective, almost parental kind of energy. If you guys have had some kind of falling out, I feel like this person is saying they do want to talk it through with you and get the opportunity to have an honest conversation. And if you tried to raise issues with them in the past and they sort of shut you down or deflected or acted like it wasn't a problem, I think they have had time to objectively assess that situation, and now it's like they're saying that some of what you said was actually fair, and they'd be open to accepting constructive criticism if it meant getting the chance to be in your life again. However, with the 10 of Wands, I don't think this is something they are being very vocal about with other people. I think this is something they're more saying to themselves. Like we mentioned earlier, with other people, they could be saying like, oh, you know, this breakdown of our relationship or friendship just came out of nowhere. But deep inside, like they are smarter than that. They know that that isn't quite true. And and I think that's something that they have been assessing. Yeah, I think they're saying, you know, even if it's just to themselves, if they actually sit down and look at this realistically and sit with their own thoughts, it is clear that you were being more realistic than they were about the breakdown of this connection, because they're saying they know they took something for granted. They do have an awareness of that, even if that's something they initially repressed when they were discussing this situation with other people. It feels like they're acknowledging that you stuck to your principles with something. So if this is like, you know, they took it for granted that you would always be there for them, even if you told them like, you know, I'm going to end this if you mess up again, they can now see that you stood on business, you stuck to what you said you would, and that's left them with no choice but to consider the part that they had to play in all of this. They could be saying that you saw through something, like if they lied to you, they're saying, you know, you saw the truth and they didn't get away with it. They're acknowledging that since being apart from you, they feel like they've kind of lost their way, but they see you as somebody who has found their way and become more self-reliant and independent. I think they're saying that one thing they miss most is the conversations they had with you. They're saying for the most part, apart from when they were maybe not being truthful, they're saying that you and them could talk about absolutely anything. They could open up to you and talk to you in a way that they can't with other people. I also feel like they're saying that they miss how clever you are and how funny you are. Like the conversations they have with other people just don't seem to hit the same. I think they're saying they laughed a lot with you, and I also feel like they're talking about how they kind of miss your quirks. You could have a specific thing you did that they talk about and they say to people like, oh, me and Pal 3 always used to have this inside joke about XYZ, or Pal 3 always had to have this particular sauce with their meal, or something completely random like that, like something reminds them of you. I think they're saying they miss your comebacks as well. Like you always have the best roast. You could always go toe to toe with people and win a debate. That is something they're saying. And I think they're telling people they miss you in all these different ways, because they're often bringing up these little things about you and maybe saying like, I miss what we had because when it was good, it was really, really good. But when people are asking them like, okay, so why don't you reach out to Pal 3 and apologize and have like an honest conversation with them? I feel like this person is saying Pal 3 is too smart for that. Like they know that you're intelligent and they know that you're discerning. And I think they're saying, if I tried to do that, I know there would be a lot of resistance. And I know it would be this major challenge to try and change Pal 3's mind about me. I think they are pretty stressed and upset about this situation. I think this is something they do think about a lot, at least once a day, and particularly during times where maybe they have to be alone with their own thoughts, like at night time. And I don't know why, but I'm getting something about being hormonal, and all genders have hormones, so take it in whichever way it applies to this person's gender, but there is something to do with them getting more upset about this when their hormones are heightened. And the example that popped into my head is, you know, someone being due on their period and they're feeling emotional, and when they get that way, they end up looking through old photos and feeling really sentimental towards this connection and kind of just saying to themselves, like, I really miss this. And maybe that's when they find themselves wanting to reach out. It doesn't have to be that example, but yeah, I think this person is in deep regret because they feel like you guys had so many plans together and now they think it's not going to happen, and they're more aware of some of their actions that could have caused the breakdown of this connection. Maybe they feel like they overreacted to something and it caused this big falling out, and now they're saying like, I shouldn't have reacted like that. They're feeling kind of alone, like they feel as though you have fully walked away or let go of this situation. So they're saying they think they're alone in those feelings of like missing this connection. They're saying they don't think you are still feeling the same way. You wouldn't be open to it because you've managed to escape this, you've gotten away from them, or you've gotten away from these feelings. But for them, the feelings have remained. They could feel like they are finding it difficult to cope without you. Maybe when this relationship or friendship first broke down, this person sort of threw themselves into other things. But now they're saying like that was all just a form of escapism to try and stop myself feeling the way I do about Pal 3. But they're saying like ultimately I am unhappy deep down without them, and I can't really run away from that. Like it's always there, it's sort of lingering no matter what they do. This could be this person saying that they've been doing some more introspection. Whatever has happened has taught them more about themselves. And maybe this person is saying like, I'm kind of disappointed in myself. But I think sometimes it does hurt them much to fully admit that they fumbled. So maybe it's like they can only go so far with the self-analysis before they get overwhelmed. They could also be asking if other people are talking about this, or maybe they are asking if you are still talking about them. So if you guys have mutual friends, maybe this person is saying like, oh, do people still talk about what happened? Or they're asking like, does Pal 3 ever mention my name? And they get really disappointed if they find out that you haven't mentioned them. It adds to this sense of them thinking you've moved on and they're not even on your radar anymore. They're saying it would take a lot of courage to reach out to you. It stresses them out thinking about how they might go about that. They could also build it up to be bigger than what it is in their head. Like they tie themselves in knots figuring out a way to communicate, then in the end they don't even go for it because they already think they know how it's going to go down. So maybe they're saying like, what's the point? It sort of scares them too much to think about reaching out, even though they really, really want to. They do really miss you a lot. They miss what you guys had together, but they don't know if you would respond well. And I think that's the thing that kind of keeps them held back. So that is what I'm getting for your tarot reading, pile 3. I really, really hope you enjoyed this reading today. If you did like the reading, please do me a massive favour and like the video. If you get a chance, please, if possible, leave me a comment. Let me know what resonated. Let me know who this person is, or just let me know which pile you picked if you don't feel comfortable. Let me know what resonated. That would help me and this channel out so, so much. Please consider subbing if you haven't done so already. Again, I would really, really appreciate that. With all of that said, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for being here. Take care, and I will see you in the next one, pile 3. Hi Pile 4 Collective, if you chose Pile 4 with the Weird Cat Tarot and the Ladybird sticker, you are in the correct place. Welcome to your reading, friends. If you would like a full breakdown regarding this reading and what it might entail, please check out the introduction. I go through absolutely everything there. I will also leave some details in the pinned comment. If you want to have a quick glance at that, go right ahead. But today we're asking, what do people say about you behind your back, and who can't stop talking about you and why? So the oracle reading will be more focused on your general energy, what people tend to comment on most when it comes to you. Some of these things could be things you know, some of it could be things you don't know, but hopefully you will recognize some aspect of yourself in the oracle reading and you can use that as confirmation you have chosen the right pile. If the person talking about you most comes through in this portion of the reading, I will mention that to you guys. However, after the oracle reading, we are going to be moving on to the tarot, and that is going to be a deeper dive on who this person is specifically, who cannot keep your name out of their mouth. So we are going to be looking at who this is, your relationship to this person, what they're saying, why they're saying it, what their intentions are, what is the purpose of them yapping about you, and all of that. Please note that if one individual says something about you, that doesn't automatically make it true, and you do not have to accept it as such. Ultimately, somebody could say something about you, and then somebody else could turn around and say the complete opposite. So take everything with a pinch of salt. These readings are supposed to be fun and entertaining. They are supposed to provide clarity and help you feel empowered into making the best decisions for you. They are not intended to piss you off. These readings are here to confirm what your intuition already knows, so that you can make an informed decision. If something doesn't sound like you, or it doesn't sound like anyone in your life, maybe that particular message isn't for you, and that's okay. I try to deliver all of my messages with honesty and with integrity, but I try to deliver them also as respectfully and sensitively as I can, in the hopes it will leave you feeling uplifted. That said, if you don't think you're in the headspace to hear about what other people might have to say about you, then please act in your best interest and give this one a miss. You are always welcome to come back to the next one. Hopefully this reading will be a little bit gossipy, a bit of a tea spill, a bit juicy, a bit spicy, fun, and potentially we're going to throw a little bit of hype you up in there too. Hopefully it's going to be all of those things. But with all of that said, I really do appreciate you being here and listening. It means a lot to me, and I cannot thank you enough for taking time out of your day to let me read for you. So thank you so much for sending me your beautiful energy, and without hesitation, let's have a look at the cards we pulled for you today. So your tarot is here in the middle. We are not looking at that yet. We are going to be looking at these oracle cards surrounding your tarot. So starting over here on the left, we have got Crafty Crocodile, Boldness, Self-Discovery, Assurance, Ancient Keeper of Wisdom and Insight, Show me how to dive deep into my feelings. We have got number 29, Memory. We have got number 18, Rite, Ceremony, Mystery, Magic. We have got Getting Crumbs, You Deserve More Than Crumbs of Affection, Wait for Somebody Who Adores You. And we have got Moon. As the moon waxes and wanes, we harness its energy to bring forth abundance and release that which no longer serves us, allowing our spiritual journey to unfold. I always like to start off these readings by mentioning the numbers on the cards in case these are relevant to anyone. They certainly don't have to be for this to be your pile. These just tend to be extra confirmations for specific individuals. So these might be relevant in terms of an age, a birthday, a day, a month or year, an age gap, a life path, an astrological house, or an angel number or synchronicity you are seeing a lot of. But we have the number 29 and the number 18 here. Maybe you are one of those ages, or the person we are talking about today, it might be one of those ages. Somebody could be born on the 18th or 29th of a month. The numbers 11 or 9 might also be relevant. Maybe 9th house / Sagittarius energy is relevant, or 11th house / Aquarius energy. Or perhaps September or November are important months, and perhaps the astrological signs corresponding to those months. So maybe Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, or Sagittarius, which we mentioned a moment ago. With you choosing the ladybird sticker, maybe ladybirds are a synchronicity for you. Like maybe you've been seeing more of them recently in random places. This actually happened to me the other day. It's not unusual for me to see ladybirds sometimes when I'm outside, like in spring or summer, or sometimes when I'm in a room where the window has been open. And I always make a point of saying hello to them and moving them to a safe location. So that in itself is not strange. I see them from time to time. But the other day I was sat in the middle of my bed. I was doing something, I can't remember what. I was probably typing on my laptop because I remember being sat there for quite a while, and I vividly remember the bed was clear apart from me sat there with my laptop. Anyway, my partner came into the room and looked down and was immediately like, "Oh, you have a ladybird on you." And I looked down, I had these black leggings on, and it was just there happily crawling on my leg. And it's not that weird now that I'm saying it, but it was kind of random because bear in mind, I was sat in the middle of a double bed. The bed is in the middle of the room, it's not near a window, and even if it was near a window, that window has been shut because where I am in the north of England, we've had the odd spring-like day, but a lot of the time it's still been really cold and windy and rainy and even frosty. So in that context, it felt random. And it's not necessarily that it was there, but also like more the fact it hadn't been squished and I hadn't noticed it crawling on me at any point. And I think during this time, I'd probably got up like once or twice to get my water or go to the toilet or something, and I also hadn't noticed it at all on the bed, even though a ladybird would stand out against the colour of my duvet because I was in the middle of it, so I could kind of see like all around my peripheral. And fair enough, maybe I was lost in whatever I was writing, but I am known as like a really fidgety person. I'm always moving around, like jiggling my legs, changing positions. So I'm surprised I didn't lie on the ladybird and squish it at any point. I'm also someone who's very ticklish. Like if a fly landed on me, I'd be scratching my arm straight away. I'd immediately notice. So I'm surprised I didn't notice something crawling. I like ladybirds, but there's a lot of bugs and insects and things with legs that I'm scared of. So I am vigilant when it comes to things crawling, is what I'm trying to say basically. So it seemed a little bit odd that I hadn't noticed it, and I wasn't even aware how long it had been there for. So I found it really sweet that it managed to find me and was just happily crawling along my leg. So maybe something like that has happened to you recently, where a ladybird or butterfly or even a bird or something has landed near you and you've been like, that was random, but it's felt like this little symbol of good luck. And if that's the case, I am going to mention a tiny little bit more about ladybird symbolism in this reading anyway, but I'm only going to be scratching the surface. So if you've been seeing them, I would encourage you to look that up for more meanings in case ladybirds or some other animal that you've been seeing a lot of lately has a specific meaning to you personally in this reading. That's just a message for somebody here, but yeah, it could be relevant to you in your reading. Maybe people are saying that either like you've had a lucky break recently, or it's your time to receive some good luck, perhaps, with ladybirds representing that symbolically. I believe ladybirds can also indicate you are being watched over or looked out for by a loved one. So this could be like a loved one is thinking about you or talking about you a lot. It could also indicate that if you have a passed on ancestor or loved one or spirit guide or team, maybe you're being heavily discussed in the spiritual realm, particularly if you have any kind of prominent spiritual gifts. It could be that you're being guided in that way. Maybe someone from a higher realm is telling others in that higher realm that they're looking out for you, or they're getting people on board to look out for you. I won't be surprised if that was the case, especially with that right card. There could be something like, you know, in the spirit realm, they're saying that you're being initiated into something. Maybe it's tapping into more of your gifts or something along those lines. And for those of you who are seeing a particular synchronicity, even if it's not ladybird specifically, maybe that's this person sending you signs and saying like, oh look, Powerful is noticing these signs we're putting in front of them. I wonder if they know this is from us, or something like that. But apart from in the spirit world, I actually feel like a lot of people do talk about you in the human world, and often it's to share memories that they've had with you. I feel like you appear as a central character in a lot of people's stories, maybe even people who you don't really speak with anymore, or people you left behind a long time ago. I think the fondest memories people who have encountered you have, a lot of those memories do seem to involve you to some degree. And of course, that's going to be the case with loved ones, and I'm sure your loved ones constantly bring up memories. But this could also be like some random person you went to school with 10 or 20 or 30 years ago, and they're like, remember when we went on that school trip and you, me and Pal 4 got in trouble because we did XYZ? That was so fun. I wonder what they're doing now. So even people you've sort of lost touch with still bring you up and still think about you and still wonder how things are going for you. And for some of you, maybe it's just that these people aren't in your life, not due to any kind of falling out, but just like a natural drifting. Like the people we spend our high school life with, not all of those people, if any of them, are going to be the same people we spend our adult lives with. Sometimes we grow apart, or sometimes we can't wait to get away from from those people for valid reasons. So maybe some of you have purposely distanced yourself or removed yourself from the grasp of some of these people who used to be in your life, but it's like they still remember you very vividly and they still bring you up at every opportunity. You're kind of giving main character energy, to be honest, but you're not trying to be the main character. It's just people do kind of keep their focus on you. I think people find you an interesting and intriguing person generally. I don't know, something about this memory card, it's just making me feel like you tend to get a lot of people watching or observing you. I don't mean that in a way to freak you out or to say you have literal stalkers. I mean, some of you could be aware that you have people who, you know, try and look you up on social media and things like that. But it feels more like for a lot of you, there are just people who are interested in what you're doing generally because they're saying you don't give much away. Like with that getting crumbs card and the moon, we will talk about that. But the example I'm getting, it's almost like people are obsessed with you, but you don't really notice their existence. Like maybe you're just walking around Tesco's doing your shopping and somebody who knew you 20 years ago spots you and is immediately messaging somebody else saying like, oh, guess who I just saw at the supermarket? And this is really exciting for them. Whereas you're just going about your day and like trying to get your shop done and trying to get your food, these people have this entire in-depth conversation about you because they're so curious as to what you're up to. And maybe they're asking like, you know, did you speak to them? What did they say? What do they look like now? What's the hair colour? Did you see a wedding ring? Did they have their work badge on? I wonder what they do for work. I wonder if they're married. I wonder if they have children. Did they have kids with them? It's like that for them, whereas you're just not bothered. You either didn't see them or you spotted them and thought like, oh no thanks, I'm just going to pretend I didn't see them, and you just went and minded your business elsewhere. I keep getting the phrase imprint. Yeah, it's like no matter how much or how little time people spend with you, you somehow leave this imprint on them where they remember you and talk about you or ask about you later. You leave an impression on people is something they say. I think people say that there's something really kind of witchy and magical about your energy. If you do any spiritual work, people could think you're really attuned to divine messages and that you possess the gift of clairsentience, or one of the clairs at the very least, probably multiple clairs, because there's something about you being deeply attuned to your feelings and the feelings of others around you. People might kind of say that you're someone who needs to go hermit mode from time to time because maybe you absorb a lot of the emotional energy around you. So you could go through these phases of having to sort of keep to yourself. And maybe that's why you seem like a memory to some people, because maybe people close to you are kind of saying like, oh, it's been so long since I saw Path 4 and I really miss them. They're like a distant memory to me. I forgot what their voice sounds like. But I know this happens sometimes, like sometimes they've just got to go and do their thing for a bit. So I think a lot of your friends kind of understand this about you, that sometimes you go quiet and sometimes you pop back up. People who meet you could say that you have a mysterious charm about you, or they think there's something deep and enchanting about your energy. They could say that you have a really mesmerizing or captivating gaze, or you put a spell on people without having to say too much at all. People could say that you have kind of like a you'll never know the real me, or you'll never know what I've got up my sleeve sort of vibe about you. People might say that they could have a ton of deep conversations with you and still sort of leave feeling like they barely know anything at all, or they've barely scratched the surface with you. They say that it's really difficult to truly unpeel the many layers of who you are as a person. And I think a lot of you are known for being individuals who really just do not give a lot away. People say that you're someone where it just seems like you're always hiding a secret. You keep a lot in, or you keep a lot to yourself. People could also say that they often look at you and they wonder what you're thinking, because maybe you'll have this sort of dreamy look on your face, or you'll just look as though you're super deep in thought and they wish they could read your mind, but they're saying they have no real idea of what's going through your head. You're difficult to decipher and properly unpack. Maybe some of you are kind of off the grid, or you're not on many socials, or you don't keep in touch with too many people from your past because people are saying they only have a bit to work with. They're only able to pick up the crumbs or these snippets of what you're doing. You could have been told in the past by someone that you're like a little bit intimidating, or there's something slightly dangerous even about your energy, but it's dangerous in a way that's alluring, I think. It's because they're saying they don't quite know where they stand with you, or you can keep them on their toes. People could say that you're someone who they can tell holds back, but you also seem quite assured, quite self-assured. Or this could be, you know, if people who once knew you as lacking in confidence have encountered you recently, people could be commenting on the fact you seem more confident now, or you seem more sure of who you are. With us getting ceremony on this right card, this is making me think of maybe, you know, people who haven't seen you in years, commenting on the fact that you've clearly been on this journey of self-discovery and you figured out who you are now, like you've really developed and you've become wise and you just seem like a lot more sure of yourself. This could even be something like family members seeing you at a wedding and getting to talk to you and realizing, you know, you figured out who you are. If you've been to anything like that recently, maybe this is something people have commented on. You've kind of grown into yourself is what they're saying. People might say that you're literally crafty, as in you can make things. Maybe you're good with your hands, maybe you're good at building or designing things. Maybe some of you are into crafts, or you make something as part of a business, although that does not have to apply. But this could also be indicating that people are saying you are up to something, but they don't know what. Maybe people are saying they feel like you've been busy, or they feel like you've been up to something that they don't know about, and you're keeping this thing private because they're not seeing you as much, or you're not replying as much. Maybe they feel as though you're in this phase at the moment where you've gone inwards a bit. This is one of those eras you're going through where you just need to spend time by yourself or on other projects for a while. People could be saying it's really hard to get you to reply. Like maybe people in your life say to each other like, oh, have you heard from Pal 4 recently? And the other person is like, yeah, I messaged them, but I didn't get much of a reply. They just said that they're doing good, and that was that. And then they're both like, you know, we haven't seen this person in ages. What are they up to? What are they busy doing? Maybe it is possible that you are dating or talking to someone new and you're keeping it private, or maybe you just have things going on like passions of yours that you haven't really told other people that you're working on. But I feel like there's someone specific coming through, and they're saying that they think about you and the memories they have with you a lot. But I think they're saying, you know, it's hard to get hold of you or hard to have a conversation with you. Or they're saying, I've not seen Pal 4 in so long, it would be great to catch up with them again. And we are going to get into the who more in the tarot, but I feel like someone is saying right now they are just getting crumbs. So this could be someone you don't want to speak to, or it could just be that you've been really busy. But I think they want to talk with you because they feel like there's a lot hidden. They're not really sure what's going on in your life right now. And when they try and speak with you, it feels like they don't get enough conversation as what they would like. And it's going to be different for each person. For some of you, this could be an ex or someone who is romantically interested in you, but you are deliberately keeping them shut out. And for others of you, this could be a friend or parent or sibling, and maybe you're just busy or you're not seeing as much of each other as you used to, and they're saying they miss you, but they know that you're in this certain phase of your life where you have a lot going on or you're just busy right now. The example I'm getting, it doesn't have to be this specific one for you, but it's almost like moving out of your parental home and going off to college. Like I said, it won't be that exact one for you, but basically the overarching message is like on your end, you have this whole new world that's opened up to you, and maybe other things in your life have kind of gone on the back burner while you explore this new phase. So even if this is like your mum or a parental figure saying like, oh, I miss Pal 4, I miss seeing them every day, or us talking to each other all the time and spending time together, but I realise that I have to give them space to explore this new phase. It doesn't have to be a bad thing. For some of you, maybe there's a reason that you're just a memory to this person right now and you're only giving them crumbs because that's all they're deserving of. But for others of you, this is very much still a mutually loving relationship, but it's just that you have other things going on and you can't commit as much time to this person as what you used to or what you would like to. But I think they're saying they want to see more of you, or they want more of your time and energy generally, but they feel like they're not getting too much of that at present, or there's things they want to know about you that they can't or don't know. So that is what I'm getting for the oracle portion of your reading, Pal 4. We are now going to move along to the tarot, and we're going to be getting some more information on who this person is, what they're saying about you, and why they can't stop talking about you. So thank you so much for listening so far, and I will see you at the tarot portion, Pal 4. Hi Pal 4, welcome back to your tarot reading. Without hesitation, let's get started and have a look at the cards that we pulled for you. I'm just going to pop your little ladybird over here for now. So to start off with, we have got the World, and the clarifier for the World is the King of Cups. We have got the Hermit, interesting, and the clarifier for the Hermit is the Hierophant. We have got the Four of Cups, and the clarifier for the Four of Cups is the Six of Cups. We have got Death, and the clarifier for Death is the Three of Wands. We have got the Six of Swords, and the clarifier for the Six of Swords is the Queen of Swords. And we have got the Seven of Swords, and the clarifier for the Seven of Swords is Justice. There's some really interesting messages coming through for you, Pal 4. You could actually have a few different people talking about you at this time. And if it's not different people, it feels almost like mixed emotions. And I think it comes back to that overarching energy we mentioned in the oracle, and where we mentioned you kind of distancing yourself from certain people and situations and either going hermit mode or just going off and doing your own thing. Because there's a lot here about like the world opening up to you and you going after opportunities. So maybe it's both. Maybe you're doing your own thing and you're busy, but that means you don't have much time to spend on the things you used to. Maybe you're not seeing friends or family or people from your past as much because you've been busy exploring new ventures. And then when you're not doing that, you're spending time alone or retreating into this safe sanctuary of your own making. But the message I'm getting here, it's similar to pile 3 in that it feels like the person or people talking about you most are people that have known you for a long time, and maybe you're not in as much communication right now. But whereas with pile 3, it felt more like a falling out or someone doing something wrong and not having as much access to you, this feels more like, I guess, either a natural drifting, or you just not having as much time to dedicate to a person or a certain situation, or you being in a different environment, like you being in a different location even. And unlike pile 3, it feels as though the person talking about you, pile 4, it's kind of like they're trying to make peace with it, or they're aware that you're doing something that's good for you, but they're still saying that they do miss you and they do wish things were different, in whichever way that applies. So it's kind of like bittersweet feelings. It feels like this person, although they're upset about this current situation and this distance, they're kind of acknowledging like, oh, but this is what's best for pile 4 right now, and I respect that. So they're kind of wanting to put you first, even though it might be quite difficult for them. So I think this could represent a lot of different kinds of relationships, if I'm honest. This could be a romantic partner or ex-romantic partner who you're in some kind of separation with, but it feels as though you're still on kind of peaceful terms, even if you're not talking as much, even if you're giving each other space. So if there was a breakup, it feels like this is a more amicable situation where maybe one or both people have recognized like, hey, we are not good for each other right now, like let's give each other some space. And it could be that person is saying that they're missing you, but at the same time they're also like, you know, but I know that pile 4 has to go and grow and do their own thing for a bit, and I'll go off and grow and do my thing. But they are still hopeful that one day you're going to be able to reconnect, or at least be on better terms to see if you can talk things through. Or this could be like a parent, for example. And one example is you going off to college and exploring this whole new world that's opening up for you, these new opportunities, and maybe you don't come home for the holidays or as often as you used to because you're busy, you're studying, you're making friends, you're spending your energy elsewhere. And it could be that this person, in this example, this parent, is saying like, oh, I miss pal 4 so much, and a part of me wishes they still lived with me and we saw each other every day, but I know it's good for them to go and establish their own independence. Like, I'm happy for them that they're getting to do that. Or it could be a close sibling or a friendship circle, and it's this similar thing of like, you're off doing your own thing, maybe you're traveling, there could be some kind of time zone difference, a barrier there, and you don't get to speak as much with the people you care about, and perhaps they wish you got to talk more and they wish you were closer, but at the same time, every time they see you pop up, they look at you and they're like, I'm glad pal 4 is going and having fun. There are a few messages coming through about travel, so maybe that's relevant for somebody here, but it doesn't have to be. It could even be like just moving to a new workplace or a new department, maybe a colleague you were close to, like your old work bestie is saying like, oh, I wish pal 4 was still in the office with me, but I'm glad they've moved on to a job that they like better. So it's these kind of mixed emotions. It could just be that you're busy with a new project or something you're studying, and you're just not able to make as much time for these individuals who are wanting to see you, and they miss you, but like they're glad you're doing well. It's that kind of thing. Maybe you used to see someone every day, and due to something that's changed with your situation, you don't. So you guys don't get to catch up as much, and they miss you a lot and they wonder how you're doing, but they are happy that you seem to be getting new opportunities and enjoying your life. Whoever this is, I'm seeing that this person cares a lot about you and speaks about you with a lot of warmth. They're saying they're glad to see you doing well, and they're glad to see you with essentially the world at your feet, even if it's not with them. If you are, for example, literally traveling and you post pictures of you jet setting across the globe, or you've recently posted even about an accomplishment like you getting your degree or reaching some important milestone in your life, I feel like this person pays attention to that and is genuinely pleased for you. Although they could be saying it's bittersweet because maybe they're saying like they would love to be the one to celebrate these achievements with you, but maybe if you've moved to the other side of the country or the world to pursue something, obviously that person might not be able to be with you in the flesh, and that's nobody's fault. I think although they wish they could celebrate alongside you, ultimately they're kind of saying like, good for pal 4, I'm glad to see that they're doing well. This person could have some water in their chart, Scorpio, Cancer or Pisces, or that could be you, although that does not have to be the case. But I feel like this person recognizes you as someone who is emotionally intelligent, and maybe they are too. And I'm getting this sense of like them saying that you guys share such a deep bond, that you both have this awareness that even if things have been tough in the connection right now, or you haven't been in close proximity or connect in the way that you'd like to connect, essentially they're saying the love isn't going to go away. Like, I keep hearing there's this sense of you're always going to belong to each other. And that's in whatever way it applies. You know, it can be in a romantic sense where this person is saying, it doesn't matter where you are in the world or who you're with, because I know that there's this tie that always holds us together. Or if this is a parent, this could be like a mother figure saying that even when you don't speak, they can feel you. Like they always have that maternal instinct to sort of know when you're in trouble or to know when you need them. And that's the main thing. Or this could be that sort of best friend relationship where you don't get a chance to meet up for months, but you always know that when life slows down again and you do get the chance to catch up, there's no love lost. It's always going to go right back to the way it was. Nothing's changed. Like the bond always remains, basically, no matter how far apart you are in the world. And I think this person is saying that although they're not happy necessarily with how things are, I think they are accepting of it in the sense that if they know you're just busy, they're not wanting to make some drama over this and blame you for things that you can't control. They're not trying to like force you to meet up with them right now if they know that you have other things going on. They have a lot of compassion for you and your situation, and they're saying they want to see you do well and kind of go and spread your wings if that's what you need to do. This is a really random message. It might just apply for one person watching this pile, but if any of you go to therapy or counselling, or if you were attending some kind of class but you took a step back, it could be your therapist or that person that teaches the class kind of saying like, oh, I wish Pal 4 would return to their therapy sessions, or I wish Pal 4 would come back to this class because I really feel like we were making a lot of progress. But at the same time, they're not forcing it because they know that ultimately you've got to just go and do what you got to do. And if you have to go off and explore and try other things and get involved with other opportunities that the world has to offer, they're not trying to stand in your way or make you feel bad about that. I think this person is saying that they acknowledge that it's important for you to be able to go out and find yourself and to pave your own way in your own way. So if this is a parent, this could be like them coming to terms with you leaving the nest and finding your own way in the world. If this is a friend or a romantic partner and you guys were once attached at the hip, this could be that person saying like, I understand me and Pal 4 have grown apart, but I can accept it's because they need to go and find who they are outside of me, and I'm in support of whichever way they're choosing to do that. Even if I am sort of feeling nostalgic for what we once had together, they're saying that you're in this era of self-discovery and you're learning about who you are. And they're saying that maybe you've had to go inwards and spend some time by yourself in order to really figure that out, and they can respect that. They're also saying this could involve you switching up your opinions when it comes to certain traditional institutions. This could be you growing and evolving by choosing to move away from certain belief systems or leaving institutions behind that you felt were holding you back. It could be you choosing to reflect on what you actually align with and moving in the direction of that. And perhaps in the process, you've had to let go of something or someone because you're heading in this new direction and there's things you've had to leave behind. They could be saying it seems like you've been gaining a lot of wisdom since you've been on this journey, and it seems like you're transforming into this new person who has more confidence and more self-belief. They're saying they can see that you're going off and experiencing more of life and that you do seem happy with your choices. They're saying it looks like you're getting more opportunities, and they understand that freedom is really important for you and that you've always been someone who needs to go through these little journeys of soul searching. I'm hearing something about phases, so maybe this person is saying like Pal 4 is in their discovery phase where they need to take some time away, be by themselves, and then they're going to come back a new person. Maybe this is something you just need to do from time to time. It's like clearing out the old and making way for the new, getting rid of things that no longer align, and finding yourself in transformational experiences. You could be someone who has very much like a wander energy about you, and that's something people might comment on. And especially if this person knows you well or has known you for a long time, they might be saying like, yeah, Pal 4, they don't like staying in one place for too long. They tend to get restless. They need to go on adventures and give themselves new experiences, or they start to feel kind of apathetic. So they're kind of saying they know this is something you need to do for your well-being. And I think they're also saying when you do this, it always tends to pay off. Like some of the things that you go and do, this person might never do. But when you come back from these adventures, it always seems like you've had so much fun, or you have this wild story to tell, or you can come back and say like, here is what I learned from this experience. This person could describe you as this individual who is just forever on a quest for knowledge, like forever wanting to discover new things about yourself, about the people around you and the world around you. They are saying that you have a really adventurous spirit. And I think they're like, oh, some of the stuff Pal 4 tells me about, it doesn't sound like it for me, but Pal 4 has a great time with it. And when I say about you not wanting to stay in one place, I don't necessarily mean it like you have to love traveling or you always want to move. This can apply even if you live in the same hometown you grew up in, because it's more of this metaphor of like you always want to reach the next destination because you never want to get complacent. So it's more like, if you achieve one goal, you're kind of like, what next? And you want to move on to the next goal. You don't want to stay stuck in the same place, but it can be taken more like intellectually and emotionally. You always want to be reaching for new heights. And this person, they might struggle with that because maybe this person does identify as a little bit more traditional, or not necessarily traditional, but maybe like stuck in their ways or tied to certain things. The example I'm getting, and it won't be this one for you, but this is just kind of to describe what I mean, like the difference between you and this person. This is the kind of person where, like, if both of you were like, oh, I've never tried Indian food, you might be the kind of person who's like, well, why don't we go and try it? There's a new restaurant up the street and there's a first time for everything. Like, why don't we go and check it out? And this person, because they decided when they were 7 years old that they didn't like the smell of one Indian meal that they smelled like 50 years ago, they decided then that Indian food wasn't for them. That's the belief that they resign themselves to, even if it might not be true anymore. So they're like, no, do you know what? I've gone this long without having Indian food. I don't think it's for me. It feels too late to try. They're much more reluctant to do things differently and go after these new opportunities because they feel very tied to this idea of like, the way they've always done things is the way they always have to be, and they find change really difficult. Whereas you might be more the kind of person who sort of says like, why not, to new experiences. Like, maybe I didn't like the smell of Indian food once when I was 7, but who's to say that I won't like it now? And you refuse to deny yourself opportunities that might be beneficial to your growth. Whereas this person might kind of talk themselves out of some of those opportunities. Like I said, it won't be that example with food, but it is something where that difference between you and them is being highlighted. And maybe you encourage them to join you on some of these endeavors, or you urge them to try something new alongside you. But they're kind of stuck in this place sometimes of saying, no, I'm happy that you're doing that, but I don't think I could do that. And maybe that is one of the reasons for this distance, like them refusing to change or move on from an old way of doing things. Maybe you didn't want to feel held back. It's like perhaps you invited them to try out something alongside you, but they didn't want to come, or they felt like they couldn't come, literally or metaphorically. And so it felt like you kind of had to leave them behind so you could go and explore new territories and figure things out. This person doesn't really give themselves that opportunity. It's kind of like they live vicariously through you, maybe. They find it quite difficult to adapt to new beliefs, and I think they're saying that you're more skilled when it comes to that, and that's why you're being granted some of the opportunities that you're being granted. It's because you're not afraid to be brave and go against the grain sometimes. This person could feel the burden of their societal or cultural conditioning, and I think they admire you because they're saying like, you're wise enough to know that you don't have to let those things hold you back. They're saying that they're proud of you for that, like that you're becoming confident enough to be yourself. And they feel like they're saying you are more honest than they are. So maybe this is in terms of authentically expressing themselves. Maybe this person is saying that you don't hold back the way that they do, and they respect you for that. Maybe they're saying you're stepping into an energy where you can be who you want to be, and sometimes they find it difficult to let go of other people's opinions or this attachment to their conditioning. Something gets in the way where they feel tied up or they feel like stuck in a rut. But they see you being your authentic self, and they're kind of thinking like, good for you for going off and doing that. But I think a part of them, it's like they fantasize about what it would be like if they got to come on that journey with you, even if their journey wouldn't necessarily look the same as yours, like even if you don't want the exact same things. I think they're saying like, oh, I couldn't just go and do XYZ the way that Pal 4 could. Like, I have all these obligations that would get in the way of that. But I think a part of this is them being stuck in their ways and not being able to fully take a risk and take that chance because they're used to what they're used to, and anything else feels kind of scary. Maybe this person is like looking at your social media pictures and saying like, oh, I wish I could go and do that. But then they give themselves 1,000 reasons why it wouldn't work for them and why they couldn't do it. And they kind of talk themselves out of it. Even if they're bored with where they're at and they feel like they're stagnating, they could be saying like a part of them feels remorseful for refusing something with you or to be alongside you, to join you with something. And they find themselves daydreaming about how things would be if they had taken that particular opportunity. But again, they just feel like some kind of tradition or institution or obligation is keeping them tied. They are saying that there's something about your energy that makes them feel nostalgic, and it kind of makes them have this feeling of childlike wonder where anything is possible and nothing is off the table. But then they're too tied to their rationality and life gets in the way, and they say to themselves like, no, I couldn't possibly make that work. It just feels as though there are too many barriers. I think some of them might be tied to a rigid mentality of how things are supposed to be, and I think they're saying you challenge that in a way. So it won't be this example for you, but let's say this is you and a parent who have disagreed in the past about what career field to get into or ways to move up in a particular career field. If you're the kind of person who is like, you know what, if a job is making me consistently unhappy, I'm not going to stay there. I'm going to move on. I'm going to go and do my own thing and try out this different role or get a job in a different country or start my own business. You and your parental figure could disagree on something like that, and they might say, oh, you always do this. When you're not happy, you just leave. And you're like, yeah, because what's the point in wasting my time in a place that is making me this unhappy? I'd rather go and find better elsewhere. And this person, I don't think out of maliciousness, but maybe out of concern over you finding your place in the world, they might kind of say something like, well, you might just move on to something else, and then what if you dislike that? You know, it seems like you're just running away or you're just escaping your responsibilities. And you could be like, yeah, but on the other hand, I might love the new job and I won't know unless I try it. And this parent could be shaking their head like, well, that's not how the real world works. You know, in my day, we stuck with things when they got hard and then we ended up moving ahead and getting a great promotion. So maybe if you just stick with this, it would get better. And I think in that situation, you know, that person isn't wrong because maybe they came from a generation where things did play out in that way, but perhaps they struggle to come to terms with the fact that times have changed. They struggle to understand that newer generations working hard, you know, it doesn't guarantee a better income or it doesn't guarantee that promotion. Sometimes you do all the right things to make a boss or a company happy and you just don't get rewarded for it. They just end up taking advantage. So maybe your way is the right way for you, but you won't know if you don't try. And that's what you're trying to tell them, basically. So if you say, as one example, I'm starting my own business and it's like an internet business, maybe if this is an older relative who came from a different generation and maybe doesn't really understand how the internet can work in that way, and that's no shade or ageism whatsoever. I'm someone who grew up with unlimited access to the internet and I still don't properly understand how it works. But if that's the case, this person might be kind of cynical about your idea. They might be thinking the worst because they're concerned for you, or they're saying like, well, that's not going to be very stable. You should go for the traditional 9 to 5 like I did, you know, even though it makes me miserable, it's a stable income and that's what's important. But maybe then you kind of change their beliefs because they see you doing really well, they see your business succeeding, and they're saying it's changed their perspective on what is possible. And maybe they're saying like, you know, I've always been interested in XYZ business. That would have been a dream of mine back in the day if I had the internet then. And then you could be like, well, I could show you how to set one up. Like maybe you could do it on the side or we could do it together. And this person kind of resigns themselves to like, no, it's too late for me now. Like I'm proud of what you're doing, but I feel too past it to be starting something like that. I'm too set in my ways. It's that kind of thing. This person could be saying that they are susceptible to this thing where they get stuck in the past and this idea that they have to always be who they have always been. And they might have accused you of being like fake or being deceptive because you've changed, because sometimes they struggle to get their head around how people are capable of transformation. So if you share an opinion with this person where maybe you once had a different opinion, they're attached to this idea of like, well, that's not what you used to say. You used to think XYZ. And you're kind of like, yeah, maybe I thought that when I was literally 10 years old or when I was a dumb teenager or whatever, but people are allowed to change. I feel like this person is saying you've taught them a lot about that though. I think they're saying that their idea on life and success or their wants or needs or their philosophical or political beliefs have undergone some shifts since encountering you, and they feel like you have a lot of wisdom. And sometimes they wish they had enough bravery to change their mind and to not be so stuck in these same patterns. They envy that about you, but they also admire it, and they're also happy that you get to explore some of the things they're saying that they feel like they can't. I think they're saying they're proud of you, that you have a lot of integrity. Because this person is saying sometimes they feel like they're wearing a mask or they feel like they're tricking people by choosing to fit into the status quo rather than being who they would like to be deep down. They're saying that they're aware that sometimes it's like they lie to themselves or try to fool themselves. They're in denial or they have cognitive dissonance because it's easier to be that way and to convince themselves they're not capable of making some of these big changes than it is to admit that it's scary to do so, because they know they'd have to uproot a lot of their life or their previous beliefs in order to make some of these changes. They're admitting it's easier for them to say, well, it's possible for Pal 4, but it's not possible for me because I have too many obligations or it's too late, because that comes more naturally to them than making these big shifts, even if a part of this makes them unhappy or makes them feel like they're missing out. Ultimately, they're saying that they're proud of you for daring to do things differently and going after what you want and being truthful to who you are, because that's something they have always struggled with. And I think they're saying like, you know what, me and Pal 4 don't agree on absolutely everything, but when it comes down to it, Pal 4 will admit when they're wrong or when they've changed their mind. And Pal 4 isn't in denial to themselves about why they do things or don't do things. They're saying like Pal 4's beliefs align with their actions, and this person sometimes feels like theirs don't. They'd like to do some of the things that you do, but they don't always have the courage to make the changes necessary for that. But they're saying like ultimately Pal 4 goes and does what they want to, and maybe some of the time they try to convince themselves, I don't do that because it's just not what we do, it's not how we act, this isn't how we conduct ourselves, it's not traditional, it's not the status quo. But that's more like pressure of their conditioning than anything else. And they look at you, and even if they acknowledge like, oh, that's not something I feel I could do, I could never be that bold, they're proud of you in that they're saying like Pal 4 just goes and does the thing, and they seem happy with the choices they're making. And at least they do always remain true to who they are in a given moment, even if who they are might change from one moment to the next. So they stay watching you, they stay very interested in your life, they stay caring about you unconditionally despite any differences you guys have in terms of your mentality towards things. They might stay wishing they had some of what you had, but ultimately they are also very pleased for you in the sense of like, even if they can't have some of the things you have, they're happy that you have those things, and they're happy that you're going and doing some of the things that they feel like they couldn't. So that is what I'm getting for your reading, Pal 4. I really hope you enjoyed this reading today. If you did like reading, please don't forget to like the video. Please comment on the video if you get a chance. Let me know what resonated, or just let me know what pal you picked. If you don't feel comfortable, let me know what resonated. That engagement helps me and this channel so much. If you haven't subbed, please consider doing that. With all of that said, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for listening. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one, Pal 4. Hi Pal 5 Collective. If you chose Pal 5 with the Real Talk Tarot and the pink lemonade sticker, you are in the correct place. Welcome to your reading, friends. If you would like a full breakdown regarding this reading and what it might entail, please check out the introduction. I go through absolutely everything there. I will also leave some details in the pinned comment. If you want to have a quick glance at that, go right ahead. But today we are asking, what do people say about you behind your back? Who can't stop talking about you, and why? So the oracle reading will be more focused on your general energy, what people tend to comment on most when it comes to you. Some of these things could be things you know, some of it could be things you don't know, but hopefully you will recognize some aspect of yourself in the oracle reading, and you can use this as confirmation you have chosen the right pile. If the person talking about you most comes through in this portion of the reading, I will mention that. However, after the oracle reading, we are going to be moving on to the tarot, and that's going to be a deeper dive on the person who cannot keep your name out of their mouth. So we're going to be looking at who that person is, your relationship to them, what they're saying, why they're saying it, what their intentions are, what is the purpose of them yapping about you, and all of that. Please note that if one individual says something about you, that doesn't automatically make it true, and you don't have to accept it as such. Ultimately, somebody could say something about you, and then somebody else could turn around and say the complete opposite. So take everything with a pinch of salt. These readings are supposed to be fun and entertaining. They're supposed to provide clarity and help you feel empowered into making the best decisions for you. They are not intended to piss you off. These readings are here to confirm what your intuition already knows so that you can make an informed decision. If something doesn't sound like you or anyone in your life, maybe that particular message isn't for you, and that's okay. I try to deliver all of my messages with honesty and with integrity, but also I try to deliver them as respectfully and sensitively as I can in the hopes it will leave you feeling uplifted. That said, if you do not think you're in the headspace to hear about what other people might have to say about you, then please act in your own best interests and give this one a miss. You are always welcome back to the next one. Hopefully this reading is going to be gossipy, hopefully we're going to spill some tea, I hope it's going to be juicy and spicy and fun and a little bit hypey. But with all of that said, I really do appreciate you being here and listening. It means a lot to me, and I cannot thank you enough for taking time out of your day to let me read for you. So thank you so much for sending me your beautiful energy, and without hesitation, let's have a look at the cards we pulled for you. So starting over here on the left, we have got Honourable Horse, Freedom, Leadership, Intuition, Swift Beast, Dashing Between Worlds, Show Me Your Daring and Graceful Ways. We have got number 25, Influence. We have got number 62, Fright, Depression, Phobia, Paranoid. We have got Seeking Perfection, Everyone Has Flaws, Choose Only 5 Must-Haves and Deal Breakers That Matter. And we have got Self-Discovery. In opening ourselves up to new experiences, you may find unexpected joy, reminding us that life is full of surprises. I always like to start off these readings by mentioning the numbers on the cards in case these are relevant to anyone. They certainly don't have to be for this to be your pile. These just tend to be extra confirmations for specific individuals. So these might be relevant in terms of an age, a birthday, a day, month or year, an age gap, a life path, an astrological house, or an angel number or synchronicity you are seeing a lot of. So we have the numbers 25 and 62. Somebody could be born on the 25th of a month, the 2nd, 5th or 6th, House might be relevant astrologically. The numbers 7 or 8 could also be relevant as a date, or maybe 7th or 8th house energy, or the 2nd, 5th, 6th, 7th or 8th month of the year might be significant for somebody here, and the corresponding astrological signs for those months and houses. With you picking the pink lemonade sticker, I don't know whether this is specifically lemonade, I guess it could be any beverage, but it read to me like a nice refreshing glass of pink lemonade, so maybe that is a drink that you like. But I'm also picturing someone led down in a bikini on a sun lounger with their sunglasses on, sipping cocktails in the sunshine. So something about a holiday, and specifically a girl's holiday, could be relevant here. Maybe someone has recently been away with their girl or guy friends, like as a group, and if any holiday pictures have been posted online or anything like that, maybe people are saying like, oh, Pal 5 looks really well, or they look really good, or it looks like they're having fun on these holiday pictures. So that is just a random message for someone, and if you haven't had a holiday or a trip recently, maybe people are saying that you deserve one. Like maybe people are saying you deserve to get away, you deserve to get to go and relax, you deserve to get to go and sit by the pool, sipping your pink lemonade and just not worrying about anything. So that could indicate that maybe some of you have been through a stressful or upsetting time recently, particularly with that fright card. Maybe this is people acknowledging that you've had it tough or you've been upset over something. And this won't be for everyone, and please bear in mind these messages are not predictive. You will know if this is for you. And I'm just reiterating that because I don't want to worry anyone. If this has not happened, then this next message is not for you. But for some of you, you might have had like a scary thing happen to you recently, and I'm getting something specifically about a near miss. So it could be like, for example, you got in a minor collision that could have been a lot more dangerous than what it was, or somebody broke into your house and they stole something, but luckily you weren't harmed. Or, maybe even something like you had your drink spiked when you were out and you found out what happened once you got like a blood test, but luckily, your friends got you home in time and nothing bad happened to you. It's some situation like that where people are saying it must have been terrifying for you, but luckily you're okay physically, but you might still be dealing with something emotionally that left you like on guard or left you feeling paranoid about who to trust or something along those lines. And again, that might just be for one individual, but I did want to mention it because we can't ignore that card that's coming up. Like a lot of you, even if it's not one of those situations specifically, there's some acknowledgement that something has frightened you a little bit in the not so distant past. It doesn't even have to be something bad, it could be something good, like deciding to go for a new job or a new opportunity. People could be talking about how you found it scary to make that leap, but you trusted your intuition and honoured your feelings on whatever this thing was. For some of you, it could be something like deciding to leave a relationship or leaving something stable to go after something better or to follow your dream. I'm getting something about like you having this moment where your heart was in your throat with something because you were scared. It could be like even scared of trusting your intuition or being scared of learning the truth, of finding something out. Like maybe for some of you, you felt as though something was off. That's what your intuition was telling you. But perhaps someone was trying to say to you that you were being paranoid, or you convinced yourself that you were being paranoid, or you asked your friends if they thought you were being paranoid. But in the end, I think it's like people are saying that you're glad you went with your gut, you trusted yourself, and you're doing much better now that you are learning to trust yourself. It's something along those lines. People could be saying that you're someone who is known for having like a very specific random phobia. Maybe it's a particular phobia that just isn't too common, it's quite unheard of, so someone mentions you having this fear and another person could be like, oh, what does that mean? And maybe one of your friends says like, oh, my friend Pal 5 has that phobia, and it's when you're irrationally scared of XYZ. And that's not me saying you are irrational, Pal 5, but that's what phobias tend to be. I have some pretty typical ones, like I'm irrationally scared of spiders, even though logically I am much bigger than them and they are probably more scared of me. But maybe some of you have this one random phobia that's sort of unexplainable and it's something you're known for. I know that's kind of specific, but that's the message I'm getting. People, especially your friends, might say that you're good when it comes to, I'm hearing the phrase leading the charge. They might say that you're kind of a bad influence on them. I think it's in a funny way though, like they say you're the ringleader or you're always the one making wild or fun suggestions. Maybe they say that you're someone who can get people to do anything, like you're great at influencing people and encouraging people. Maybe you often dare people to do things, like you come up with the silliest, goofiest dares or something like that. Some of you could have your own platforms and kind of be like influencers in some capacity, although that does not have to apply. But I think you're very skilled at like getting people to follow you. You could be known as someone who is great at setting trends, like you start something off and then other people want to copy it. Or equally, you could be known as someone who is able to make any trend work for you. So this could be like you looking really good in multiple different styles of clothes, like different fashions. Or maybe you're somebody who is always switching up their dress sense and the way they look, and people say you're someone who is always figuring out what works for them and trying new things. It could be like you're someone who references trends that you've seen on social media or trends you've observed, and you say to people like, oh, I've heard about this new trend, like I'm going to try it and things like that. You're known as being that kind of person who tries lots of different things out to see how it works for you. People might be saying that you're sort of finding yourself at the moment, or you're trying out different experiences. This could be like you trying out a class that you've always wanted to do, learning a language. Could be going on dates again after a relationship ending. It can really be anything, but it's like people are noticing that you're really putting yourself out there in some way and just exploring your options. And they're saying you're on this journey of figuring out who you are and what you want out of life. People could be saying that you've had to push past a lot of fears and a lot of self-limiting beliefs in order to do this. Like maybe people are saying you've had to do things that scare you or things that once made you feel uncomfortable. They could be saying they remember a time when you used to struggle with anxiety around this, but now it seems like you're much more free than you used to be. It could be that people are saying that you're learning what you're capable of, and again, maybe it used to be things that deeply frightened you. Like if last year, for example, you were in a relationship that you were scared of ending because even if it was bad, maybe you didn't want to be alone or you didn't want to start over. I think people are saying listening to your intuition and deciding to do the thing that scares you has paid off, because now you seem like you've escaped the feeling of fear and you seem much more open to future possibilities. And it doesn't have to be just that example in relationships or whatever and things like that. This could even be you, applying for a new job, even if you struggle with anxiety at interviews, or going solo traveling when you once thought you'd always have to do that with someone else. Or, maybe moving past your social anxiety to make friends and join new communities, or doing a couch to 5K when for years you've been telling yourself you couldn't do that because you're a couch potato. It's something about you fully believing in yourself and stepping up to be this leader in your own life. So people are saying that you're taking charge and doing things more your way now. They're saying it doesn't seem like there's as much controlling you or holding you back anymore. Perhaps if people encountered you when you were in some kind of connection that was holding you back, for example, a controlling person who maybe set limits on what you could wear, who you could be with, where you could go. Perhaps this is people commenting that you have come a long way since then. But if it's not to do with another person whatsoever, it could just be that your beliefs about what you're capable of have evolved and people can see that you're not holding your own self back anymore. It's kind of like you're stepping into more of an Aries type energy and saying like, if I want something, I'm going to go and get it. I'm not going to let this fear hold me back. And again, that could look like you doing things alone more, wearing what you want, speaking out when you're unhappy with something. People could be saying you seem a lot more free when it comes to expressing yourself in whatever way that applies, whether it's with your appearance or if it's something more internal. If it is appearance related, maybe it's that in the past people could have said you seem self-conscious or you're paranoid that you don't look good. And maybe you used to ask like, oh, what if people think I look terrible in this outfit? But now you're just doing what you want more and people can see that you're embracing more of life. With this honourable horse as well, and with you picking the Real Talk Tarot, I think people say basically that you stand on business. I think people say that you're very real, you're very honest, you're very direct, and they know where they stand with you. And perhaps they're also saying that's something that makes you a good leader if you are in any kind of leadership role. I think people admire you generally because they say if you make a mistake, you're not afraid to hold your hands up and say like, yeah, that was me, or yeah, I messed up. And that's really refreshing because a lot of people don't take accountability in that way. I think people say that you're someone where what you see is what you get. Like you're not the type to be wanting to play mind games with anyone and trick people because you just do not have the time or energy for that. People might say that you're someone who gets kind of angry when people are wishy-washy or when people don't say what they truly mean or they sit on the fence or beat around the bush. You could be someone who's known for just saying like, spit it out, just tell me, I don't have time to read between the lines. You encourage people to just be honest and you're good at getting to the truth of the matter. You're good at getting to the heart of every matter. People say that you keep your promises and you stick to your word. Like you don't give empty promises out. You always honour the things you say. And if you said you're going to do something, you're going to do it. People could say that you're someone where freedom is very important to you. They're saying that at this stage in your life, your freedom is everything to you and anything that compromises that kind of has to go. You have to release it. People might say that you're known as someone who likes to rebel, and people also might say you're someone who has this kind of stubborn streak. Like basically, people say you're the kind of person where if you are about to do something, but then somebody comes and tells you to do that thing, even though you were just about to do it, now that they've told you to do it, you're not going to do it just based on principle because you're known as somebody who doesn't like being told what to do. You could be someone who is known as having a bit of an issue with authority at times, like maybe when you were at school or whatever. As one example, people would comment on the times that you would answer back or you would try to challenge or debate an authority figure, and maybe it got you in trouble at times. But I think people are acknowledging like you're known as someone with a strong sense of conviction. They're saying you have strong opinions and you are not going to be silenced. You're very much known as someone where freedom of thought and freedom of expression is really important to you, and you might struggle being in or around institutions that want to make you try and act one particular way. People might say that you're a bit of a rule breaker or you're a rebel. You could have been referred to as a delinquent by authority figures who were not able to sort of contain your energy. They didn't know what to do with it. And for some of you, it's in these ways where you maybe were more boisterous and more outward and extroverted in saying like, nope, I'm not doing that. And for others of you, it manifests in you perhaps being more reserved, but also being very curious and always asking why. And maybe you weren't trying to be deliberately controversial. It's just that if you didn't understand something, you were genuinely trying to wrap your head around like, but why do we do this? Because ultimately, if something has the potential to compromise your freedom, there needs to be a good reason as to why you're doing it. So I'm hearing something about like maybe certain teachers talked about you and said to other teachers, oh, do you have PAL 5 in your class? They're very, I'm hearing the word precocious. So maybe that's how you were described from an early age. Maybe you seemed advanced beyond your peers, or you questioned things that other people didn't. And it wasn't that you were trying to make life hard for anyone. You were just trying to maintain your own freedom. So for some of you, this is just you asking questions like, you know, why do we do this? Why is this a rule? Why do we have to follow it? What benefit is there to following this rule? And for others of you, it might have manifested more as anger towards authority or institutions, but only because you were like, you know, I'm not setting a precedent for this authority figure bossing me around, so I'm going to say no to everything they ask, because if I say yes, that will show that I'm malleable or compliant, and I don't want that. So people could say that you're someone who has had that bit of a rebellious teenage streak throughout your life, and you've unintentionally given authority figures in your life a hard time. But people also understand it's because you didn't want your curiosity to be stifled and you never want to feel restricted. So people could say that they tell you to do one thing and you're known for like doing the opposite. And people could also say you kind of have like a just for the plot vibe about you sometimes. You do things just to see what will happen. You might also have a thing where you like to pull pranks or you like to surprise people. People could say that you've pulled the funniest pranks on people before or something like that. You like to mess around. And I think that's also why they say that you're good at influencing people, because essentially you don't follow anyone. You're the one to stand out and be like, well, I don't know about you, but I'm doing this. And so then it's easier for other people to sort of follow you because you're the one leading the trail, you're the first, you're the pioneer, you get the ball rolling. People say that you're someone who just kind of dives into things and takes the lead, and it doesn't matter what other people are doing. People might say that you're someone who is kind of like, what? I'm just saying what everyone else is thinking. Like, you're a straight shooter, but I think it leaves people kind of gagged. You're the one to just say things and cut right through the bullshit. With this Seeking Perfection card, I'm getting a couple of different messages, but one message I'm getting, it's something about you trying to be funny. Like if you were on a date or something like that, it's you saying like, oh, you're looking for perfection? Well, you found it. And you are being lighthearted here, but at the same time, people are saying no, but that's actually true though. You have a very sort of change people's lives energy about you is something that I'm getting. So people could find that if they interact with you, if they go on dates with you, if they make friends with you, they're saying you have a lot to offer, like you're everything I've been looking for in a person. You could find a lot of people say about you, you know, where have you been all my life, pal 5? A lot of people say that they can't really identify any flaws in you, so I think you're capable of making a really positive first impression. And people might say you're really motivational, like you're good at getting people to do better and inspiring people. So you do change people's lives, whether it's like getting them into mischief or just spicing things up. I think people are saying you change the energy of a room in some way and you're a lot of fun to be around. Now, the other message I'm getting, it could be that people are saying that you have high expectations or you are seeking perfection that doesn't exist. So maybe in terms of dating, you're known as somebody who will go on a first date and then you might get the ick easily, or you might be like, there was just this one thing that was off and now I'm just not feeling it anymore. I feel like you're someone who, when you're attracted to someone, you are all in, but it might take you a lot to actually establish that attraction to someone. So you might have people kind of chasing you and pining after you and you're like, thank you, but no thank you. And maybe some of your friends are like, pal 5, your standards are way too high, like people aren't perfect. But I think on your end, it's probably one of a few things, to be quite honest. Firstly, if you've ever not trusted your intuition and you've chosen to stay with somebody because you were too scared to leave, you might feel like you wasted time and you're not prepared to do that again. Therefore, if something feels off to you when you meet someone and you know you're just not going to vibe, you are honoring your gut feeling and your intuition, because even if there's a minor red flag, you have this intrinsic sense of whether something is going to work or not. So you're quick to make those decisions. You might know within the first minute of a date whether you are going to be attracted to someone like that or not. And your friends might kind of of have a running joke about this. Maybe they're like, oh, Pal 5's date didn't pass their 1 minute interview. They could be saying like, come on, give these people a chance. But I think on your end, you're like, I know what I know and I want what I want, and I'm not prepared to settle for anything less. Now, on the other hand, it could be that you are dealing with some avoidant tendencies, because if you were placed in a situation previously where your freedom got stifled, you don't ever want to feel like you're restricted or tied down again. So maybe you do have the tendency to sometimes find faults that aren't there as a coping mechanism so that you don't fall too deep or too hard or too quickly and get tied up in the wrong thing again. So some of your friends might be saying this from a place of care, and because for some of you there could be a slight element of truth in it, that's not for everyone, but maybe they're saying they want you to reassess your priorities because they feel like you're not giving good people a chance. And maybe this is due to past hurt and past trust issues. Maybe you become naturally suspicious of people due to something that has happened prior, and that's understandable. But it could be like your friends are saying, you know, don't be so hasty and don't immediately dismiss someone just because they don't match every single piece of criteria that you have. And I'm not talking about the big valid deal breakers. I'm talking about like if you meet someone who's pretty much absolutely everything you're looking for, but then you're like, oh, but their name is James and my ex's name is James, and you're dismissing them from that because you feel like it's a bad omen. That's not your intuition, that's your anxiety. Or if you have a bad experience with one Leo and then you meet someone amazing and say to your friends like, yeah, they seem perfect, they're everything I want, but I just can't go there because they're a Leo. Like, that does not make sense. Listen, no matter what sign you date, you are going to find an asshole of every sign. It's not about the sign, it's about how evolved or unevolved each sign is. Always remember, judge people on their behaviour and the way they utilise their sign's traits, rather than judging them on the actual sign, because they have no control over what sign they were born under. Now, that won't apply to everyone. For others of you, maybe this is other people being jealous that you know what you want and you are holding out for the best of the best. And maybe it's because they have low expectations for themselves and they're annoyed because you stand on business and because you're not settling. So maybe people are projecting onto you and saying like, oh, you're never going to find perfection, because they're scared that you will, whilst they ended up settling. Maybe it would benefit some people if you did settle or you did lower your expectations, because that would mean that they stand a chance with you. So they're frustrated that you won't do that, or they're trying to tell you, you know, you'll never get better than me, or perfection doesn't exist, because it would benefit them to think that, even if it's not true. But I feel like they're saying you know who you are and you're committing to learning more about who that is and the things you really want, and you are staying firm on that. So that is what I'm getting for your oracle reading so far, Pal 5. We are now going to move along to the tarot, and we're going to be getting some more information on who specifically this person talking about you is, what they're saying about you, and why they cannot stop talking about you. So thank you for listening so far. I hope you are enjoying the reading, and I will see you at your tarot. Hi Pal 5 Collective, welcome back to the tarot portion of your reading. Without hesitation, let's get started and have a look at the cards we pulled for you. So I'm just going to move your lemonade sticker to one side for now. Okay, so to start off with, we have the Sun, and the clarifier for the Sun is the King of Pentacles. We have the Page of Wands reversed, and the clarifier for Page of Wands reversed is the Page of Swords reversed. We have got the High Priestess reversed, and the clarifier is the Six of Cups reversed. We have got the Two of Pentacles reversed, and the clarifier is the Knight of Pentacles reversed. We have got the Seven of Wands, and the clarifier is the Five of Wands. We have got the Moon, and the clarifier is the Ace of Cups reversed. Okay, Pal 5, I kind of feel like I need to gather my thoughts with this one a little bit, because I'm getting a few different messages. The thing is, I think you're someone who people have a lot of differing opinions about. It feels like there's something about you that people find quite polarizing. I think one thing people are saying is that you're someone who's good at being provocative. You're good at provoking a reaction out of people. And some people love what you have to say. They can't get enough of it. They're obsessed with your blunt honesty, your unfiltered expression, your openness. And then there are other people who are saying they find it abrasive, or they're saying it's too blunt, and they've taken something you've said maliciously when perhaps it wasn't intended that way. You just say things how they are. And I know sometimes when people say, oh, I just tell it how it is, that can be used as a justification for being unnecessarily cruel or unkind. But I do not think that this is the case for you at all, and that's actually what a lot of people respect and admire about you. Like we said in the oracle, it's that they know where they stand, they appreciate that. And I think on your end, you kind of have this mindset of like, everybody deserves to hear the truth, because the truth gives us freedom and we cannot access freedom without it. And because freedom is so important to you, you also want to give people the opportunity to have as much freedom as they need. But people who are perhaps a little bit more sensitive, or they need a more gentle touch, they might be saying like, I think Pal 5 could have said this a different way. But the thing is, you say things the way you say them because you have this desire to get right to the heart of the matter. You value your time and you value other people's time, and you're not going to beat around the bush, because then it's just a waste of everyone's time. And please don't take this next example literally, but if you have a friend who comes back from a job interview and they're like, you know, I don't think it went very well, they kept staring at me weirdly, I don't think they liked me, I don't know where I went wrong. Maybe you notice that this friend has lipstick on their teeth, and other people in that friendship group might be like, oh, you know, well, maybe they already had someone lined up for the role. I'm sure it's them, not you. Like, I'm sure you did fine. But completely unrelated, did you look in the mirror before you set off? Like, nobody wants to address the elephant in the room, but you're going to walk in and go right up to your friend. You're going to wipe the lipstick off their teeth with your finger and be like, babes, it's because of this, but you're good now, don't worry. And ultimately, that person who had the interview, they're going to feel a little bit embarrassed, but ultimately they are going to be grateful that you figured out what the problem was and you solved it all in one sentence or all in one movement in that example. So sometimes the most brutal honesty is actually the kindest thing you can do for someone, because if you hadn't said anything, maybe they'd pull up to their next interview with lipstick still on their teeth because their friends didn't tell them about it. But now they can go to their next interview knowing like, oh, I didn't do a bad job, I just had lipstick on my teeth, thank God Pal 5 told me. Could you have gently pulled them aside and said like, hey, have you maybe looked in the mirror? Yes, but that would have slowed things down and wasted their time and yours. And people say you're not about slowing things down. People say that you're all about saying what needs to be said and doing what needs to be done. I think sometimes people call this abrasive, but it's actually because they kind of feel threatened by it, particularly if you're a woman, because often we are socialized to prioritize politeness and other people's feelings over blunt honesty. And a lot of us, we do have pent up resentment due to that way we've been socialized, because at times it's got us in situations that we'd rather not be in. So sometimes when we encounter someone who goes against that kind of conditioning, we can be like, oh, they're a bit much, aren't they? Because we've been taught to lessen ourselves, to lessen our impact. And people say that you really don't do that. Like, people will feel your impact full force. And people who can't speak out or won't speak out, they might say it's too much because you said what they weren't brave enough to. So I'm getting this vibe with you of like, some people will love you, some people will hate you, but regardless, they will feel your impact. You know that quote that's like, oh, if you think I'm too much, go and find less? This is what I'm thinking of with your energy. I think some people can't stand that they can't get you to compromise your morals, or they can't get you to make yourself smaller to fit into a box or do things their way. They can't get you to settle for less than you deserve because you know what you're worthy of. So in terms of who this is, it is going to vary, and I've said that for every pile, but the main message I'm getting is that this is someone who would benefit from you lowering your expectations in some way. And I don't think that's the only message or the only person we are getting. There's a lot of people with a lot of great things to say about you, Pal 5, and there are people here who have nothing but admiration for the things you've managed to achieve so far, but you will know who this specific person is who is like convincing you that you should accept less, because this person is a bit of a naysayer. They're a little bit of a hater. They might try to tell you that your ideas lack merit, or they won't go anywhere, or they might try to tell you you are never going to get the thing that you want, or you are expecting too much from them or from life or other people generally. But what this person is actually saying is a direct manifestation of their own sense of lack, their own insecurities, their own inability to believe that there is better out there. This is someone who is trying to make you think that what you're asking for or what you're working towards is unattainable, unreliable, and is very far out of reach. And that's because this person is closed-minded and they can only see things from their own perspective. And it's a shame that they seem to be trying to make that your problem. And this thing that you're asking for, if, for example, this is like expectations you set in your own romantic life, in the grand scheme of things, it might be something that is actually the bare minimum of acceptable behavior within relationships. Like, as just one example, you might set this standard of, you know, if you cheat on me, I'm done, because you know that you deserve better than somebody who would betray you. And that's like the bare minimum standard of being a decent partner. But you could have had a romantic partner in the past who tried to convince you that that's just what people do. and they're saying to you, like, I can't believe you won't forgive me and move on. I can't believe you're making such a big deal over this one mistake. Like, you're not going to find someone who doesn't cheat at some point. But you didn't let this person sway you, and maybe they're saying that they're angry that you won't relent to them or give them another chance because you're kind of like, well, I'll take my chances. I think you're of the mindset of like, I'd rather be alone than be with someone who would do this to me. And actually, a lot of people say that they admire that you honour and respect your boundaries and your expectations like that. But some people, it really triggers them. Like, maybe even if friends of yours would accept behaviour from their partner that you wouldn't accept with your partner, those friends might say, well, what Pal 5 wants in a partner is just unrealistic. Sometimes you just have to accept what you can get because you're not going to find someone who's not going to cheat. So sometimes you have to forgive people's mistakes. And you might be like, if you want to forgive someone for something, you go ahead, but I don't have to do anything and I'm allowed to have whatever standards that I have. And I think people who have different standards for themselves and who are threatened by the fact that you have refused to abandon yourself and your principles, and you have refused to abandon your needs the way that some of them have, those people might then choose to maliciously gossip about the path that you have chosen. So maybe they say things like, oh, Pal 5 is going to be alone forever with that attitude, like they're never going to find someone. It doesn't even have to be with relationships. It could just be that you went and followed your heart and soul and your passion and you did something that they could never do. Could be people at like your old workplace or something who are toxic. And so this person or these people are trying to convince themselves, oh, it's not going to work out for them, they're dreaming too big, they're going to fall flat on their face and end up with nothing. Like, waiting for this downfall to happen because that's the only way they can console themselves and convince themselves that they're happy with their own choices. And it doesn't matter whether this is a friend/frenemy situation or a romantic partner who has convinced themselves that they're the best that you can do and that what you're looking for doesn't exist because they're unable to meet those expectations and step up to the plate. But the point is, the only way this person can make themselves feel better is by telling themselves it's going to end badly for you. But I feel like they've had some kind of rude awakening recently because it seems like you're making things happen in your life, you're getting the things you want, or you've been working towards this moment where things are starting to pay off. But I think this person is still in deep denial and they're kind of still saying like, well, it's going good for now, but it's going to fall apart. And that's not the case, but that's what they have to say to feel okay with themselves. This is very much someone who projects their deficiencies onto other people. It's like they see everything through a lens of pessimism or cynicism, or they don't allow themselves to see the good in people because they are aware that they do not behave like a good person and therefore they think goodness doesn't exist. Like, if this was ever someone you were romantically involved with at any point, this would be the kind of person to act suspicious of you because they are the ones doing something suspicious. So they like look through your phone and accuse you of cheating or lying because that's what they're doing. And so they don't believe intrinsically that anyone has the capability to be faithful. Even if it's not romantic, this is somebody who tells you that they can't trust you to follow through on something because this is someone who doesn't believe that promises can be honoured because maybe they have broken every promise they've ever made. This is somebody who tells you that your passion project isn't going to pay off. They pick it apart and tell you that you're biting off more than you can chew or it's not going to get you anywhere because they know that they are a person who never finishes what they start or they lack the energy and the patience to go all the way with something. And so they project that onto everybody else around them. That's why your expectations seem so alien and foreign to this person because deep down they know, like, I could never do that. But instead of them admitting, I could not do that because I have not worked on myself, they try and frame it as, it's just not possible. Like, no human could do that. No human could be that good or work that hard. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable to them because they've never tried to do it. If this is kind of a frenemy situation, this person could make sarcastic comments about something you're doing. Like, other people could be complimenting you on it or hyping you up, but this person seems a little bit snarky with it. Maybe if you're trying to start a business, for example, you notice this person does not really help you promote it. They don't like it. They don't share your posts. And maybe when most of your other friends talk about this thing, they are genuinely interested and they're like, oh, how's it going with XYZ? But this person kind of says it in a bit of a sarky way, like, oh, how's it going with your little business? Are you still trying to do that? They undermine it as if it's something that's never going to succeed. But I think you are proving this person wrong, or you are going to be proving this person wrong if you haven't already, Bar 5. And you could have even picked up on some of this energy and kind of been like, what do you mean by that? And this person is saying like, oh, don't be so defensive, don't be so sensitive, I'm just asking. Clearly it's not doing well if you're getting so wound up about me just asking. And it's like they're trying to do this so that you stop believing in yourself the way that they stopped believing in themselves a long time ago. It's like this person says that you're the problem or you're creating conflict or drama about something whenever you try to assert yourself. This person could accuse you of getting loud or overreacting. It's like they start the argument first, they purposely say something, and then when you defend yourself, this could be the kind of person where you could say to them in the calmest voice, like, hey, don't talk to me like that. And suddenly this person turns around trying to gaslight you, and they're like, oh my God, you're being so loud right now. Stop shouting at me. Stop causing a scene. Stop being dramatic. It's like they're saying that you're the one throwing tantrums, but it's over something that's very, very valid, and they are trying to deny your reality. But they could turn around and say to you, like, oh, stop kicking off. Stop being so touchy. I didn't mean it like that, which is crazy because they are actually like the most insecure and twitchy and sensitive person on the planet, and they take everything the wrong way because they think everyone's out to get them. I think this person doesn't really have any true friends or true relationships in their life where they are not trying to get control or they're not trying to be in competition with somebody. So I think they struggle with the entire concept of you, to be quite honest, because this person is very much into treating all interactions as if they're in some kind of power play or like it's some kind of mind game. And one thing people say about you is that you're not about that. You're very upfront, you say it how it is, you're honest, you have integrity. But it's like you could say something to this person and they're immediately sort of saying, what did Pal 5 mean by that? What's their motive? What do they get out of it? They're automatically suspicious or mistrustful because they always have a motive. So you could be being yourself and actually like trying to help them out. If you are a woman, you could be a real girl's girl. This is just an example that's popping into my head. It doesn't have to be this one for you. But you could notice this person comes out of the bathroom and their skirt is tucked into their underwear. So you go up to them, telling them straight away because you're trying to be a decent human being, because you would want to know if that was you. And this person tries to turn it into a narrative of like, why did Pal 5 do that? They were just trying to embarrass me. I bet my skirt wasn't even tucked into my underwear. And it's like you just can't really win with this person because they're naturally cynical about everything. They always assume that there's some ulterior motive. This could be someone who tries to get you worked up because they're like, I feel as though Pal 5 is hiding something, but you're not. It's like they're trying to find a chip in your armor, but you're just so upfront that that chip doesn't exist. And instead of accepting that, they're finding more ways to search for it. And this could be in retaliation to things starting to go really, really well for you, Pal 5. I think a lot of people are saying you're getting noticed for something or you're in the spotlight. You are radiating this positive energy and this optimism. And I think a lot of people are saying you're shining brightly and they're really, really happy that you're standing out and getting your flowers and getting the rewards for your hard work. But this person, they didn't want to believe that you honoring your high expectations would work out in the first place, basically. So because seeing you succeed has made them feel insecure and out of control, they're kind of like, well, it can't really be as simple as that. What's the trick here? What's the catch? That's what they're asking. I'm getting the sense that you have people in your corner, well-wishers, people cheering you on, celebrating your success, but there's just this one individual or small group of toxic individuals who doesn't want to believe that you could be happy because they are not happy. So they are constantly playing opposition, being controversial for the sake of it, challenging what people are saying, and attacking your character in the process. So to give a couple of examples here, if this is like your friend group or your family talking about how well your business is doing, maybe most of these people are saying like, oh, who would have thought Pal 5 would be doing so well? Last year they were only just setting up the business and none of us were sure how it would go, but it's great that it's paid off for them. And they're celebrating that, but there's this one frenemy, annoying person who just wants to focus on the negative. And they're like, well, yeah, it might be doing well now, but they made some really risky decisions to get there. And for all we know, they could be in a financial mess. Maybe they're pretending the business is doing well when it's actually not. Or if this is like, you refuse to settle for less with a past romantic partner and you went and found someone who could meet you where you're at, like maybe you went and met a King of Pentacles upright, and you're being treated really well now and getting everything that you want, your circle could be really happy for you and they could be like, oh, have you seen Pal 5's new boo? They're in this new relationship. It's the happiest I've seen them in ages. They're saying that they found the one. And this person could kind of scoff and be like, well, they once said that I was the one, but I guess they'll just go off with whoever gives them the most attention. And then they sort of start mumbling to themselves like, I bet it doesn't last. I bet it's too good to be true. There's nobody better than me. I bet they're just trying to get my reaction. And everyone is kind of like, okay then, buddy, I don't think Pal 5 is thinking about you, but okay. And that's the thing, it feels like people are saying that you are not focused on this individual, you're just moving on and bettering your life, minding your business, and it's actually kind of sad for them that they are so fixated on you. But this person thinks however you act always has something to do with them. They think they're the main character in everyone else's stories, when actually people don't find them anywhere near as interesting as what they'd like to believe. This could be somebody who holds on to grudges forever, like you said something to them 10 years ago and they still think you have a personal vendetta against them when they're not even on your radar anymore. It's like they're clinging onto the the ways you have wronged them, which I don't think are true anyway. I think this is just because they expected you to or wanted you to lower your expectations by staying with something that was predictable or allowing yourself to live a mediocre life, and you haven't done that, and they somehow feel hard done by due to that. So now people are saying that you are just off living your life, and this person is still stuck on avenging these perceived wrongs and fighting a battle that you have no stakes in whatsoever, because I think they're just a little bit unhinged, to be honest. They're just a bit out of control. I think they need to work through a lot of their own stuff, and they're denying themselves that opportunity by remaining focused on you when you're not even glancing in their direction. I think people are saying that you are taking the high road on this. There's this sense of people saying that you could ruin this person if you wanted to by simply telling the truth, but you're not wasting your energy on them. People are saying that you're being incorrectly blamed or made the scapegoat, but you're not bowing down to any kind of pressure. You're fully capable of holding your own. People are saying that you have a strong will and you're fine with having an opposing viewpoint to someone. You're not taking it personally. Like if someone doesn't vibe with you, you're just going to do what you want anyway because you trust that you're going to be able to do what's right for you. People are saying that you will go to the ends of the earth to fight for your beliefs. Like you are relentless. You know how to fight your corner, and you don't care if people dislike you for it. You don't care about being polarizing because you know that there's nothing worse than not having the freedom to speak your mind and be who you want to be. People are saying you won't give that up for anyone. You're not afraid of committing these acts of resistance if relenting is going to be at the expense of your freedom. People are saying that you might have individuals who challenge you along the way, but you do not let that stop you. A lot of it is because people are threatened by your personal choices. They feel in competition with you, they are envious of you, and they're mad that they can't rise to the challenge in some way. People are saying that you get power-hungry people and control freaks in their feelings because you refuse to back down, and maybe their ego clashes with yours. They're saying people like to get petty with you to try and find this chip in your armor. This almost reminds me of when people disagree about a topic, and this happens online a lot, you'll see the comments descend into picking apart a person's appearance because they can't find a flaw in that person's argument. This is what this person does. Like, you could make a valid point, and because they can't refute it, this would be the kind of person who acts childish and they turn around and say, oh, well, you're ugly anyway. And it's like, okay, but I'm not wrong though, am I? And people are saying, if you wanted to, you could go to war and you could absolutely tear this person apart, but you are not stooping to their level because they're saying you're not someone who will compromise your morals and your honor. Sometimes people say these things because they want to see you act out and they want to see you reduce yourself to this lesser version of you and kind of roll around in the dirt with them. But you won't do that, and people are saying they admire you for always being respectful. When they go low, you go high. If you want to shut somebody down, you do it in an enterprising way that sort of tells them what's what, but without compromising your integrity. People are saying that you like to spread joy and be optimistic and positive, and you won't be tempted into biting back or slipping into that hateful hater kind of energy. You say it how it is, but you don't say things that don't need to be said. You don't slip into unkindness because you don't have time for that. You are too focused on your dreams and your goals. People could be saying that they notice that you are the recipient of a lot of unrequited love situations. Like, a lot of people develop feelings and crushes on you pretty fast. You might find that you receive a lot of unwanted attention, but you could also be someone, because you're kind of polarizing, you might say no to someone very kindly, but then they might call you out and badmouth you and say oh, well, I didn't like you anyway, or oh, you think you're too good for me. And again, that is their projection. A lot of you could have Pluto in your first house, or you could be a Scorpio rising. That's just a random message that's coming through for specific people. You could have prominent Pluto in your chart, but people could say that that is something that they know has happened to you a lot. And unfortunately, people take your transparency and your blunt honesty the wrong way, when in actuality, you are just trying not to waste their time. And I think this happens in romantic situations quite a lot, as just one example. And the example I'm about to give is in no way a judgment towards anyone who has ever done this, because I have done the same thing in the past when I was younger. But sometimes when someone approaches us and we are not interested in that way, it can be easier to tell them oh, sorry, I have a boyfriend or I have a girlfriend, so we don't have to admit that we are not attracted to that person. And this happens for a lot of reasons. Sometimes it's people pleasing, sometimes it's a way to avoid conflict or a potentially dangerous situation. Sometimes it's a mix of those things, but people know you as someone who would straight up be oh, thank you for being upfront with me, but I'm not interested in you in that way, and I want to be real with you. Nothing is ever going to happen between us in that way. And that's not you being unkind, that's you trying not to waste someone's time. Because in those other situations where we say to someone oh, I'm seeing someone right now, knowing that even if we weren't, it is never going to happen because we are not attracted to that person. that might give that person false hope, and they might be pining after us thinking like, oh well, if they split up with their boyfriend or girlfriend, then I have a chance, when that just isn't the case. But unfortunately, some people prefer living in delusion, and they prefer clinging on to that false sense of hope. It might be easier for their ego to be like, oh, the only thing stopping me and Pal 5 being together is the fact that they're taken, instead of them admitting they're just not attracted to me. And so more delicate egos can be reactive to that level of honesty by lashing out and saying like, who do you think you are rejecting me? You're not all that anyway, like you're ugly anyway, that kind of thing. It's really childish. But it seems like that is what this person is kind of like. So this person kind of acts like a bit of an immature teenager. And you know, people who can't handle that level of genuineness and transparency that you have might also react to you in that way and feel like you're the problem and you're being too harsh because they feel entitled to some access to you. They might feel entitled to your time, energy, and attention. But that said, I think for the most part, a lot of people just respect that they know where they're at with you and that you're straight to the point and they don't have to play games or they don't have to pretend to be something they're not with you. And I'm sorry to use this example because this isn't the nicest context, but you know, on murder documentaries, when friends of the victim are talking about the victim and they're like, they were such a bright light, they lit up the room, they were always so kind about people, they made everyone smile, they made everyone laugh. I feel like that actually is your energy. Like, that's what people say about you. People say that many are drawn to you, many are attracted to your light. People say that you spark a lot of joy, like you're in the room and you make it a better experience for everyone. They say that you can shift the mood of a room with your smile and sense of humor and your enthusiasm and your positive attitude. They say that you're this really optimistic and positive presence and you are a positive influence. As much as we talked about you maybe being defiant at times and challenging authority, I think it's with the best intentions in mind. And I feel like people say you're that person who ultimately you do get shit done and you motivate others to better themselves and to also get shit done. People say that you spread so much cheer and love and that your presence makes the space beautiful because you radiate such fun and such warmth. You just come across as very vibrant. You're always up for a fun time, even if it means stirring up a little bit of trouble. So that is what I'm getting for you, Pal 5. I really hope you enjoyed this reading today. If you did like the reading, please like the video. If you get a chance, please comment and let me know what resonated, or just let me know which pal you picked if you don't feel comfortable letting me know what resonated. Please sub if you haven't done so already. All that would mean the world to me. That is the best and easiest way to support me in this channel, and I would appreciate it so much. With all of that said, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for listening. Take care, and I will see you in the next one, Pal 5.